What are we naming?
Well, you're the
this?
one who wants. Yeah, Johnny's right. You're the one who
Is
wants
this
to
going to
do
be
this,
just
so that you
the light novel challenge?
Okay.
Okay.
Is that what we're
the
calling
land
this?
challenge. Because it's like
I thought it was going to be the Great British Write-Off.
That's better than...
that is better.
Alright.
But then one of us is half French and he's half Greek, and you're a farmer.
Yeah, but we're in Britain, Ethan. I'm sure they've had completely like pure-blooded British
That's
people.
actually very true.
in my blood.
Got a lot of good.
Google Docs is
got a
too
lot
slow,
of
so
good
after
cultural
all that, I'm gonna
diversity
use
on the
words.
British Bake Off.
Right, so what are we doing now?
We're talking about what we're gonna do.
Yeah, but what are we actually doing?
We're gonna write a novel in a day, and it's meant to be as bad as possible, but still quite.
No,
good.
it's meant to be as
Good.
tolerable and as long as possible.
That's difficult.
With 40,000 words being the rough marker.
Fuck me, 40.
But that was 24 hours, but for someone who did it in 4-hour segments over like 4 days.
Right, so we're doing
6
it
days.
like a straight 24 hours.
Yeah.
Broken up by 4 6-hour playlists that each of us have compiled, and then when the final song on the final playlist finishes, that's time.
I've got all. Yeah, right.
And then when we'll finish, we'll put it online, and we'll read aloud our stories and upload them onto the YouTube.
Are we going to read them for the first time?
Yeah, we're gonna read them for the first time to the rest of us.
Are we doing that on this holiday?
Nah, we'll do that another time.
Yeah.
We need to recover for a few months after we've...
Oh no, but the longer we leave it, the worse it will like stagnate. The story is...
Alright, so you're not allowed to copy and paste. You can use the internet to help you.
Yeah.
But that's basically it.
Internet and notes. But it has to be mostly original work. Like.
And Ethan, you're not doing one, are you? But you are the
Yeah,
head
I
judge.
So
mean-
yeah, for this podcast, just say you're the judge, right? Unless yours going to start from scratch.
Yeah, I guess I can be the judge, and my thing doesn't count.
Yeah,
I'll
you're-
just finish off writing a script that's extremely convoluted and trying to make it even more convoluted than it already is.
Maybe we can read that out one day. Who knows? Alright, we ready to start?
You can be back.
I mean, I've been recording for the past 2 minutes,
I
picking
know.
up the perfect
Exactly.
discussion,
That's
natural
why I-
discussion of us.
That's why I was asking people. Let's stop the podcast and start the playlist.
Yeah?
Right. Well done.
Yes.
Thanks for watching.
Right, Jonathan.
By the magic
Stop
of
camera.
editing, instantly we will have finished the book.
Oh my god, I envy the audience so much.
Open.
I don't know, but I just feel like we should start recording.
And now, Jonathan Knowles. Take it away.
A Book on Stuff, Chapter 1, How It Began. Nobody knew why it happened, but it did. Most people had their theories, some their hunches, a few educated guesses, but no one knew. The universe just sort of occurred with no rhyme or reason. Energy and matter, a metaphorical soup of stuff, all just appeared and stayed. And from this celestial mess came our setting, our characters, and most importantly, a half-filled, lukewarm cup of tea. The cup of tea in question had been left next to a laptop on a simple desk and was slowly being forgotten about. Although the woman at the desk was perfectly aware of the mug, she had long since forgotten the last dregs of tea still hidden in the bottom. From her position, the cup gave an illusion of emptiness. Because of this, an accidental wild arm movement from her caused a lot more damage than she'd thought. Fuck. The laptop responded with sparks, and a dull click as the life in the screen fell into one small dot of light before spluttering off. Fuck. This was not good. She was in enough trouble with her boss already. Wild thoughts raced through her mind. The bizarrest of these was probably giving up on her job to roam as a professional rat hunter with a comedic incompetent partner named Fisher. She decided against this in the end.
Oh.
She didn't have a revenge-filled motive against rats, and the only person she knew called Fisher was a sadly unfunny and worse, actually competent at being a rat hunter. While she was lost in thought, her boss creeped up behind her. Lucy. Fuck! Lucy jumped from her seat, and with another characteristic wild fling of her arm, whacked her boss right across the head. Her boss fell, cracking her head on the simple desk as she went, and lay unmoving on the floor. The once simple desk now had an artistic red splatter across one corner. Shocked though Lucy was, she did appreciate that this dead white office now at least had a splash of colour. It did also have a dead body, which Lucy did not appreciate. It also had several other employees scrabbling for phones, attention, and a few for something to throw up into. The boss had never really been what anyone would describe as pretty, but now had surpassed all expectations. Fractured skulls and brain chunks were so last year. Reality crashed down on Lucy like a slightly overweight woman on an office floor. And she realised that the rat hunter option might not be so bad. It did come with law immunity for reasons she'd never fully understood, which would come in useful avoiding any manslaughter charges. Her thoughts were interrupted by 2 security agents wrestling through the crowd of by now hysterical office workers. Lucy had a split second to decide whether to trust the law or her ability to run after jumping from a second-story window.
I wish this was a Decide Your Own Adventure book. Should have done one
We
of
should
them.
do those next year.
So which option would you have picked?
I would have trusted the law because I'm a law-abiding
I
citizen.
would have gone with the rat hunters.
Well, Chapter 2, how it continues.
Oh.
Judging by the pain in her legs, she'd chosen the wrong option. Her left leg had especially taken offence from the sudden change in height and lagged behind the other as she ran, clearly longing to be back sat on an office chair. She ignored it and instead decided to worry about what she had to do next. Currently all she was doing was taking alternate right and left turns before realising she was now completely lost. The building here was more run down, more damaged, with the appearance of a place people spent money on hiding rather than renovating. Even the birds had long since given up shitting here, as doing so no longer caused a reaction of annoyance from those that lived here. It was an extra layer of insulation rather than something disgusting to be scrubbed clean. Judging by the aesthetic here, she'd long left the section of the city owned by the Sterengard Collective and now entered the free districts. See, I'm getting in some what's it called? I'm setting it up, the world.
World building.
Yeah.
World building.
Is this a secret fantasy novel?
I mean, it's whatever my mood took at the time. Lucy stopped next to a bunch of rotting wood, full of so many carvings it almost looked ornate. Catching her breath, she noticed that she was not alone here. Out from an alley, a shadowed outline became a woman dressed in black robes. A smile slowly spread itself across her tight lips. "Hello there, dear. What brings you here?" Her voice was sharp and shrill, her words escaping her long, thin mouth more like a whistle than speech. I can't go that high, so just run with it. Lucy paused before responding. "Narrative convenience?" In a flash, the smile was gone. "Don't be stupid with me, girl. You don't strike me as the religious type. And you don't strike me as the caring type, so excuse me if I leave." Lucy turned, only to find 2 figures behind her, grotesque smiles stitched on faces that weren't quite human, and beneath them robes that, while shapeless, curved in ways that no human were curved. One had long black hair matted across its face, while the other had no hair to disguise its uneven skull that jutted in all the wrong places. From behind her, the woman continued.
It's an annoying clock.
Setting the mood, in the background. The village clock's going off.
It will go off in every story. Like a retcon a village clock in that.
If you aren't here for anything, then I'm afraid I have no reason to keep you alive. You'll make a fine addition to my collection. Farewell. With that she turned, disappearing back into shadows. For a while, the grotesques did nothing, before together they both eerily lunged at Lucy, both with right arms outstretched from the robes, now displaying long sharp claws at the end of thin elongated fingers, more bone than flesh. Lucy herself jumped back, but the grotesques moved faster than the laws of physics should have allowed. Lucy felt pain across her stomach, and realised this was probably the end. Shit, she thought to herself. This did not go well. Lucy looked up, staring into the face of the bold grotesque, deciding her last resistance would be in a piercing, exasperated glare. It was at that exact moment that its head exploded with a bright blue flash. Huh, maybe she was a mage after all. That'd be cool, she thought. Her illusion was shattered as quickly as the skull of the black-haired grotesque, which also burst with a blue light, this time before any piercing glare could be given. Lucy turned to find a middle-aged woman reloading a double-barreled shotgun. Lucy blinked. Who are you then? The middle-aged woman smiled before responding, Des Machina. Lucy blinked again. Who the fuck is called Des in this day and age? Me, short for Desmeralda. Huh. Okay then, why are you here then? Narrative convenience. So, you're a Noralist then? Naturally. We all follow the wish of the great author and act out their stories and visions as best we can. Okay, I've never met a true believer before, so you actually... Fuck no, it's all bollocks. Come, let's move on before the rat finds the way to this dump. Chapter 3. World building.
So honest.
Mm-hmm. Lucy was led through more streets that she had never seen, where even the lights shone dark. She knew the free districts were meant to be lawless, dark and derelict, but this all seemed excessive and over-exaggerated. A few people walked the streets, all dressed practically, seemingly concealing some weapon or secret. Few were here out of choice, even fewer to make a living. Survival was the challenge, with food scarce due to the protective nature of the Sterengard Sustenance Initiative. Here you had to be prepared to die for your food or suffer starvation. Back where Lucy lived, all she had to do for food was work for rations, but that all seemed like a happy daydream now. She knew she couldn't return. Manslaughter resulted in one less worker, which constituted as treason against the economy and the righteous rule of Sterengard. Running would now lost any hope of salvation. Yeah, that's not English. Much as she didn't trust Des didn't seem to be trying to kill her right now, which was a definite plus. A red "Keep Out" sign above a hole between two metal sheets signified that they'd reached Des's home. Lucy went to enter, but Des held her back. Wait. Des quickly looked around, before then lifting a sheet of metal, revealing a code panel. Des quickly punched in a code and covered it up again. Lucy watched as the air between the doors seemed to solidify and then fell gently away as flakes into nothing. A force field? It always pays to be safe, getting quick before it reforms. She did, and Des swiftly followed. Lucy barely stifled a laugh as a cliché sci-fi sound signified the force field restoring. Des ignored this, and instead asked, "So what was your business with the Raven?" Lucy answered with a look of clear confusion etched on her face. "Wrong place, wrong time, right?" Oh wait, no, that's still Des. "Wrong place, wrong time, right?" Lucy nodded. "You're not from the free districts, are you?" "No, but it looks like I'll have to stay." This time it was Des who nodded, before grabbing a pistol conveniently placed upon a nearby table. "You'll want this. It recharges, so as long as you let it rest between shots, you'll never run out." Thanks. Don't you need it?" "Not as much as you will. It's either very kind or worryingly ominous. Thanks either way." A nearby explosion broke the increasingly awkward silence, and Des quickly scrambled for her gun. "That's not good. Thought I had more time." Lucy turned to see the force field crack and collapse as 3 people forced their way inside. "Run," Des said simply, pushing Lucy to the back of the room. Lucy hurriedly looked around the back, looking for some way out, ignoring the screams and gunfire behind her. She found a small crack in the metal that she made her way through, leading her out round the back into an empty street. Screams that she thought belonged to Des followed her as she left, making her decision about either waiting or running further away easy. Her left leg still had a dull pain, but other than that, nothing hindered her escape, her new weapon still clasped in her hand. Who were those people, she wondered. Des seemed to be expecting them, but not that early. Had she just witnessed some kind of murder? Lucy decided since she had nothing better to do, she might as well lead an investigation into Des's presumed death. She owed her life to that stranger, so might as well do this to repay the favour. Of course, she could have tried helping fight them off, and actually saved her, but that's the boring way to help people. Those 3 women who stormed the house seemed to be dressed in professional body armour, reminiscent of the outfits worn by collective soldiers. Some sort of conspiracy, or just a raid? Lucy hoped for the first. That would be far more interesting, if also harder to to discover and comprehend. Lucy decided to loop back around, see if she could follow undetected behind the women. This is where it becomes a detective novel, you know. It's
This traverses genre.
yeah. Chapter 4. C'est noir. Lucy was by now familiar with the unfamiliar streets she found herself walking through. Although
Stylers.
Although the armour was similar, almost identical, there were none of the usual insignias. Bizarre. She continued to follow, seeing now the reverse of what she saw earlier that morning. Whereas before smart houses slowly turned into rough and broken, now dilapidated houses turned into triumphant stands against the ever-present gravity, rather than the crumbled ruins she left behind. That's a rocky, long sentence. The three women seemed to have reached where they were going, a nondescript house. I love how we could hear that.
That's the payoff for the recurring sniffing subplot in this book.
It's like, you know, when you're editing a video, you probably won't, and you got a clock and shot, and it completely fucks up the edit.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if I try and edit this podcast, the clock is going to fuck it up. Like, I'm going to cut, and then suddenly, like 2 minutes apart, it's going to be like a really loud chime. Anyway, the undescript house.
Yeah. The three women seemed to have reached where they were going, a nondescript house in an extravagant street. Lucy quickly ducked behind a pillar as one of the women looked around the street, searching for onlookers. Apparently satisfied, the woman entered. Lucy waited a minute or so before sneaking up to a window. Inside she saw two of the women, one operating a radio and the other examining a laptop. Ignoring the one looking at the radio, she started looking at the one on the radio. That's a great sentence.
Wait, repeat that sentence? Just as it was written. You're not allowed to edit.
Ignoring the one looking at the radio, she started looking at the one on the radio.
Another stylist situation.
You see, the familiar and unfamiliar, that was deliberate, but this is not deliberate.
We did have 24 hours to write this in.
Maybe it's double think. Yeah.
Or more importantly, her lips. Lucy had always known her lip reading abilities would help her one day, and today seemed to be that day. From what she could tell, the woman was talking about the traveller being dealt with, but the initiator is still at large. Lucy wasn't sure what this meant, but guessed it didn't look good for Des. Lucy realised she probably should have checked the house and investigated the house if she wanted to be a good detective, but quite frankly couldn't care less. In the past few hours, her life had become so bizarre and different she didn't even recognise it as her own, and had long since given up on working out what the hell her motivations were anymore. She could be a crap detective if she wanted to, and no one could stop her. Unfortunately, she was wrong, as she was very swiftly converted from a terrible detective to an unwilling prisoner by the arrival of the third woman, through use of a stun gun. This is, by chapter 4, I'd given up actually caring what was writing and just put whatever words, and this is where it...
I remember hearing an extract from this and loving it. I don't know when that extract's coming in.
It's a bit later.
It's world building than sniffing.
It's the illness.
Chapter 5. Orange is the new black. Lucy awoke to find herself tied to a rather uncomfortable chair. She wasn't happy about that chair. All it needed was a cushion, and it might be comfortable. Also the rope tied around... Oh my god. The rope tied around her ropes.
What? It's two ropes.
Also, the rope tied around her ropes was so cliche she felt offended that this was now her life. It's always cliche when your ropes are tied up by ropes.
That's good or not.
Oh, lots are so last year. Like bits of brain.
I love that first chapter, you know, the bit about the office, the colour, the hitting the floor and the realisation, and then it just... And now we're just ropes covered in ropes.
It's like the Matrix.
When had her life given up like this? If it couldn't be bothered, then she couldn't either. She relaxed in the chair as much as she could, which wasn't as much as she'd like. She really wanted that cushion. Her cushion desires were swiftly interrupted by the arrival of one of the women. Are you awake? A pause. No. Very funny. You should be a comedian. Yeah, I might try that next chapter. What? What? Oh God, you're not a fucking Noralist, are you? Thought you'd be more sensible. I have no idea anymore. All I can say is all I can say is if there is a great author, they really can't be asked right now, and is just taking this as unseriously as possible, and finds dialogue such a drag that they'd rather just have a description rather than have people speak. The woman slowly nodded. That's me reading failing, not writing failing. The woman slowly nodded, clearly doubted Lucy's Now that's my writing fucking up there.
My God. There's so much failure.
It is.
Much failure.
The woman slowly nodded, clearly doubting Lucy's mental capability, and left without another word before she either became confused or tired of relentless conversation. See how I just
Yep.
the author doesn't like writing dialogue. She nods and leaves. Yeah, this is. Lucy looked around the near-empty room, looking for a convenient way to escape. No ideas came to her immediately, so she decided to continue thinking about random things to increase the word count of her mental dialogue. She felt she should probably explore the fact that the city was just a space station floating above a planet that had recently run out of all useful resources, which is why all food and materials are so low, and the economy was crumbling.
It's just.
It starts off.
Just imagine if halfway through Planet of the Apes, like he's just thinking, "Oh my God, this is Earth."
Yeah, this is me coming up with what the world is as I go along.
The world building chapter was like.
The world building chapter didn't even have like the setting.
That's had the least world building of all the chapters.
Oh my God.
Despite working there for many years, she still wasn't quite sure how her office job helped things. All she did was maintain records of those living in Sterengard-owned districts. That hardly seemed important compared to the increasing food shortages.
Ooh, dystopia.
The
It's the
city.
young adult dystopian novel.
Oh man.
Female lead. Where's the
Make-
part where
make-
she
yeah.
chooses between two like white guys?
Yeah, make a 12A film version of it. It grows like $180 million. Make a
But yeah.
disappointing sequel.
But I like how so far I've gone from it's been like, office, fantasy world, sci-fi world, space station dystopia.
Don't forget the noir bit that was in there.
No, what?
Such a good chapter title.
The city did have hydroponic farms dotted around, but since no more raw materials could be mined or sold, the exports the city so highly relied on were falling. Gangs in the free districts were becoming stronger though, using this unrest to cause small riots, easing recruitment. Lucy had heard rumours that many of the gangs contained disgruntled mages annoyed at the controlling nature of the collective. The collective rather lived up to its name by finding and taking any interesting land or people, and mages were no different. The Sterlings were a special division of the amusingly named Sterengard Guard, made purely of mages trained since birth and restricted of freedom. Mages were dangerous and needed training and being registered. However, turning them into a personal army seemed a bit far and morally wrong to Lucy. Still, she wasn't the one who made the laws, and she couldn't try to change them. Resistance is treason, treason is death. Not the most charismatic catchphrase, but fear is control, control is power. Also an odd catchphrase.
This is 1984 now.
Also an odd catchphrase of the Sterengard PR department, but it seemed to have worked so far.
This is fucking Orwellian.
Uh-huh. Lucy then started to think about cats, because yeah, why not? Lucy,
At the point you were writing this, did someone in the writing room say something about cats? You were like,
no,
I can riff off this.
I was just trying to think I was just thinking of random things I could try to like write paragraphs about. But this is, well, I'll say after I've read through the stuff about cats. Lucy then started thinking about cats because she'd had enough of giving exposition to her own life. The cats she imagined were large and had 6 legs because no one had seen a cat for many generations.
Fucking hell, you're hitting all the tropes.
The only animal anyone knew were pigeons because for some reason scientists had recreated them in the city to give a true city feel.
Is this because you remembered that you wrote about pigeons in the first chapter?
Yeah, this is me going, if this is sci-fi on a spaceship, how is what I've written so far relevant? It's like, right, I've mentioned Sterengard. Right, so they're like a thing. I've mentioned pigeons. I've mentioned office work and food shortages.
All I can think about is Blade Runner and how like the animals are just cloned and just like the voiceover, like pigeons don't have scales.
Sterengard guards don't have scales.
All it had resulted in was streets full of shit and bird corpses. Lucy also had a feeling that rats used to be small animals back in the past, but didn't know why. She couldn't bring herself to think of what they were like now. It was too horrific. I probably should have added there a sentence about and not wanting to describe them, as that would be difficult and a task of which to do. Anyway.
You can't add to the book. That's footnotes. That's a director's cut.
I can't.
It's the unicorn.
It's just too horrific. Lucy soon became bored thinking about cats and looked around again for a way out. This was when she remembered rope is flammable, and that though she wasn't what many would consider a full mage, she could still cause sparks to occur if she really strained.
Alchemist fire.
So that was what she did. Finally free from the cushionless chair, she looked around more freely and saw her pistol placed lazily behind her. She picked it up. It was now that she noticed a note written on the side. It said, "Look up." Much as Lucy hated following the whims of scraps of paper, she realised stubbornly not doing so would be silly. And that was how she noticed the skylight above her was very badly secured. Deciding she wanted to try out her new gun, she shot it at the skylight. It fell, loudly. Lucy swore, quietly. Without waiting to see who heard, she used the chair to leap up through the skylight, out onto the roof. Seemed like she'd have to jump off another building today. At this rate, it would become a new hobby. An odd one, though. An odd one, though right now she was losing track of what was odd. Honestly, it could be perfectly normal for all she cared. Anyway, the important thing was that now her right leg also hurt, so that was pretty shitty. Hobbling now on both legs, she made her way through the more nondescript streets, trying to work out where the hell to go now. She had no clue. Not dying was her current goal. She tried being all noir, and it hadn't really worked. It looked like it was some sort of conspiracy after all. But who was doing it, and why, were now the questions. And she had no more clues. Probably something to do with the collective, but spying on them was playing with a really hot fire in a flammable room full of petrol. Ill thought through at best, painfully fatal at worst. She realised she would have to find a way to survive the night, because even in space, when it got dark, everything became more dangerous.
Minecraft.
Yeah. Lucy looked up at the city roof and saw to her dismay the lights were already dimming. She only had around an hour before it got even more dangerous being out. Lucy also remembered she would need to eat food, sleep, and go through normal body processes. Damn.
Such as building a house out of wooden blocks.
Gotta punch down those trees.
And sleeping in a bed to change her spawn point.
Mm-hmm. That was inconvenient. If only she could jump through time until she dealt with all these issues and had set up a safe base, a stockpile of food, a toilet, and other necessary toiletries. Chapter 6. A jump through time. After clearing out a deserted bandit den and robbing a few houses on her way, she had all that she needed, as well as a perfectly good couch that someone had left out for no good reason.
This
This.
Family Guy.
And well, we were just like walking down the street and found one, you know.
Oh yeah,
That's perfectly good
we
chance.
almost took that couch, except it would have been infested with like diseases. That's how Ethan got sick. It's a twist.
This would form her bed. In order to protect her while she slept, she set up an automatic turret using her knowledge on basic electronics and targeting devices she learnt while at a 1-week in-depth course on robotics and warfare. This was also when she became a great shot with all weapons and an expert in explosives and rocket launchers. But she didn't like to boast about it much. I mean, that's just Fallout, basically. Your character is just ridiculous to start with.
Young adult
That's just the
novel,
narrative
definitely.
voice big and right.
She slept well that night, even though she shouldn't have. Still, she did. After waking up, she continued to debate what the hell she was going to do. She still had no idea, so decided to go for a walk, searching out for a local park. She found one. It wasn't great, so she moved on. Further along, she met a woman called Sydney. Sydney had hair like a red warm glow and a warmer smile. Lucy didn't know why she was called Sydney. When walking past, all they did was smile, but she was called Sydney. Lucy was. I've had enough at this point.
It's a name tag.
Lucy was particularly impressed by a fancy fountain she found later along the road. She stood by it for a while, sneakily drinking water and hoping it wasn't contaminated with any diseases. A friend of hers had once died from a disease contracted from a fountain. The disease had made them allergic to sexual tension, which was actually fine until watching a romantic comedy movie. Still, at least she died laughing and satisfied. Not sexually, but still, can't have everything. In order to add dark overtones to the moment, Lucy decided drowning an orphan in the fountain would make for an interesting character development.
This is what I've been waiting for.
She was already a criminal, might as well fit the role. The orphan looked cute too, which offended Lucy. She missed being a cute child. As an adult, you could no longer be cute, otherwise you'd be ridiculed. As an adult, you couldn't be anything. Well, that was what Lucy felt. Lucy felt many things. She also felt the last heartbeat of the orphan before it stopped moving.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Huh. So that happened, Lucy thought to herself. What now then? She guessed she guessed she could become a serial killer, just for something to do. And that was how she found herself in the mayor's house, standing over an armless corpse with a bloody knife in front of 5 disgruntled guards. Narrative convenience probably couldn't get her out of this one. Chapter 8. The Psychology of a Sociopath.
I wonder what he's trying to take the piss out of with that.
So many insights.
it's
Stylus
clearly-
will come back.
Clearly it's American sociopath, you know, that.
What a great film. English sociopath.
She ran because that was the sensible thing to do. Over the past month of near constant murdering, her legs had healed, though now as she ran she was weighted more by her conscience.
Ooh.
Or she would be. The mayor was a dick. And murder was fun. There's a lot of power when taking a life. Unlimited power. She'd probably stop after this though. It got a bit boring, and all the time she spent using a knife had inspired her to become a chef in a gourmet restaurant. And that was how she met Heston Elder Blumenthal, the master chef, famed for her gourmet meals and ability to make big business deals by removing her high heels.
Oh no.
She was a very powerful mage in the Free Districts, able to manipulate people by sacrificing objects to the empty void. The kitchen was very busy, full of noises and commotion, and a whole load of other descriptive words. Lucy created her own specialised dish of fish on a lemon, served atop a marine biologist with a side dish of distressed spinach, with extra mustard created from the excretion of moss. Just like the marine biologist. This is getting into sleep deprived Jonathan. It's like this is like me reading it again for the first time.
Is this? Have you had a break to watch Sonic 06 gameplay?
This was around Sonic 06 time, definitely.
Oh, no, not Sonic 06.
Everything was fine until it stopped going fine, which was approximately 5 minutes into her first ever shift when two sisters entered the restaurant. Now, these two sisters were some strong sisters. They could do a whole load of stuff together because their bond was tight. Like small jeans on a fat person, but unlike an article of clothing, it couldn't be worn. Anyway, together with this tight bond, was trying to rob a restaurant with guns, and they were doing a good job. Lucy watched from the back room as two armed women marched between tables, demanding wallets. They both had pistols, similar to the one Lucy had got many months ago, which Lucy unfortunately didn't have with her. She looked down at the knife. No, she'd given up on that life. Surely she couldn't go back.
Like in the same chapter, she gave up. I swear.
It's like 24.
Yeah.
He's given up on a drug addiction for hours.
It's because by this point, like every chapter, I start just jumping a couple of months.
It's like a pub.
A scream outside the kitchen brought her back. People were in trouble. She had to help. Short-change Hero started playing as Lucy walked out of the kitchen, knife in hand.
I know he's winning Best Use of Music now.
Yes.
That's why I put that in there.
Oh, you Oscar baiting.
It's black exploitation.
Both sisters had their backs turned, so the first didn't notice until it was too late. With a flash, a serrated meandered its way across her throat, causing the sister to let out one last bloody cough. I missed out the word knife. The cough was loud enough to alert the last sister, though. She turned and screamed and started firing wildly at Lucy. Luckily, she was a terrible shot, so Lucy just slowly walked up to her and slashed her across the face, and then stabbed her in the chest. Lucy looked down at the two dead bodies. Damn, just another day in the office. Maybe she should become a professional killer. Or not. She'd realised she'd done too much on a whim, and should actually settle on one plot line. Being a chef wasn't actually as much fun as she thought. Maybe she should try to infiltrate the collective headquarters. Chapter 9. The part where she infiltrates the collective headquarters.
This is that part.
This is that bit.
Yes.
The moment it had all built up to. The bit where it all happens. The top of the crescendo, the orgasm at the end of the orgy. This was it. Hopefully, if it all went well. Lucy had no plan. She was just going to walk in, stab some people, find out some facts, and walk out. The collective headquarters building was made from white sheets of metal, over which red banners decorated with the collective insignia of a snake eating its own tail. Two guards stood outside the main gate, with a couple more looking over the street from the balcony. Lucy decided her best option was to confidently stroll up to the front door and try to bluff her way inside, preferably without talking. It was at this point she realised her friendship with Hestenelda Blumenthal would come in handy. Hestenelda, though, proved harder to convince than Lucy initially thought. Lucy recognised the smile she gave her, though, a suggestive one. You see how I've jumped?
They're meant to be infiltrating the base.
This is where I become Rocky.
Yes.
Lucy recognised the smile she gave her, though, a suggestive one. Lucy knew what to do. With a wry smile on her own lips, Lucy homed in for the metaphorical kill.
Yo, Adrian.
And so after a couple hours of mutual pleasure, various kisses, and a significant amount of bodily fluids, Hestenelda was convinced. So after using Hestenelda to lure the two guards away, Lucy was in. I remember why I did that, because I'd started a chapter where she was going in, realised she actually had to do some planning, but didn't want to start a new chapter about her planning after I had a chapter of her about to do it. So I just have like a flashback there. So after using Hestenelda to lure the two guards away, Lucy was in. She wandered around aimlessly, luckily only bumping into a few guards that were quickly dispatched with one quick flick of her knife. She was on a roll. Her lunch had fallen out of her pocket. I've just realised that joke now.
No, you made
I
that
realised.
joke.
I realised as writing it, and now I didn't realise it whilst
Oh
reading
my
it, and now
God.
I have.
You meant that.
I really hope you meant that.
I did mean that. I'd just
It's-
forgotten about this.
That's such a good joke.
She was on her roll. She was on a roll. Her lunch had fallen out of her pocket. She quickly picked it up, disappointed at the waste of perfectly good food, and further disappointed by the terrible joke she just made in her head.
There
See,
we
I
go.
meant it. I
There we
meant
go.
it. I knew I'd forget, so I made a note that that was a joke. It had been a very nice. It had been a very nice too. Very nice.
Roll?
Yeah, very nice roll too. Tomato and mozzarella and pesto, straight from the kitchen of the fat.
That's a nice Italian dish right there.
Wait, let's read this again.
What cheese is it?
It had been a very nice roll too. Tomato and mozzarella and pesto, straight from the kitchen of the fat ductress. Shame. She'd wanted to eat out Heston Elder's roll. Wink, wink.
No.
Ah, nice.
Nice.
Finally, luck had Lucy stumble upon the Room of Secrets, the location where all the top secret operations are kept. In there, she found 3 guards who provided no problem. For some reason, no one had designed knife-proof armor. Clearly, people hadn't expected a knife-wielding maniac to go on a guard-killing rampage. This was a mistake. Another mistake was the poor security in the top-secret building. This was atrocious. Because you know, this is always going to be me reading out, I gave up spelling at this point. So I've spelled atrocious. ATTRIIOSHAS. Atrocious.
Say what you see.
This was atrocious. A sleep-deprived maniac could have done a better job at designing the security. Either they thought their reputation would prevent this kind of event, or they were severely short-staffed. Either way, very little prevented Lucy from grabbing a bunch of top-secret papers and calmly walking out. Chapter 10. A boring chapter where a character reads a lot.
Is this 1984?
I wrote this before knowing about what's his name chapter.
This is just like, there's so much.
It's
Great chapter and a
1984.
great book.
You got the rat catchers from Neo Yokio, the mages.
Again, that was before I
I
watched
know.
you.
This
This
is
I predicted the future, you know. Honestly, if I started talking about Kevin Spacey, you know.
Come on, you got to
like
win
that.
that best use of Kevin Spacey award. I'm gonna retcon mine to get Kevin Spacey.
but then he'd be a man, so he wouldn't be in this world.
Get one Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, Kavina. Once back at her safe house, Lucy began reading through all the papers. There she found papers ranging from political assassinations to spying on children. On one, someone had played a game of hangman, seemingly using the word hangman. Whoever had played had lost, and quite embarrassingly. They'd guessed A 3 times, despite it being a correct letter. That was so sleepy. They guessed A 3 times, and then realised, wait, but A is a correct letter, despite A being correct.
So
Oh.
hangman joke there. Warm me up.
Yeah. On other papers, people had drawn anything from Van Gogh impressions to hairy bollocks, and Lucy knew which she had preferred. Now that was after
Yeah,
watching
we'd seen the American Vandal trailer then.
yeah.
Wait, so how do bollocks canonically exist in a world that has no men?
Yeah. Where the babies
What
come
about
from?
what about Van Gogh?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, bollocks! How could they be there?
Shit.
I mean,
Did all the men die on Earth?
Yeah, maybe they were all
Possibly.
wiped out
I guess,
before the story
yeah, it's
began.
like a
Maybe it was abortion.
something something of the past. I don't know. I
Children
mean,
of men.
Van Gogh is just the surname though, so it could be like Vincentina, and you know.
Stop retconning
No.
it.
Harry-
Stop it, George.
I think
Harry
women,
bollocks,
women
you know.
can have bollocks.
He called him Darth.
Yeah.
Harry.
Don't pretend that's like a forename now.
Other papers had the answer to the universe written on it, though Lucy hadn't realised what it was. To her, it just looked like words on a page. This is me going, wait, I started like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I need
Let's
to go
just-
back.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Others had the secret to eternal life, and one even had an accurate picture of a cat. Lucy found this image disturbed. Whoops.
How sleep deprived were you at this point, Johnny?
Really quite sleepy. I've given up as well by this
Oh
point.
my god, you should see what me and Tony... Because you went to bed.
I
You should
know,
see what
this
me and
was-
Tony wrote.
This was
Chapter Blackie.
That doesn't exist. Never existed.
You're reading the words on the page. You're not allowed to
A
edit.
chapter Jackie and Blackie side by side in your story.
I have Jackie and Blackie in my
Oh
story.
god. Jesus.
I want to win Best Actress for Jackie Sharp.
Lucy found this image disturbed. Furry with 4 legs. What is this fresh horror? Disturbed, she quickly moved on, ignoring the actual title of the paper, which was entitled The Official Response to Time Travel. Ultimately, though, this made no difference, as she quickly found the paper about her and Des. It was titled The Time Criminal Lucy Surname. No, Lucy Semaine.
Oh.
I'm not sure if that's a typo, or I didn't want it to be surname, so changed it a bit.
We'll never know. It's lost in the art, yeah?
Yeah, because because I wrote that she ignored a paper that was about to blow it open, and then I realised no, I can't be bothered to write more so that she has to find out later. She's just gonna the next
She's gonna
paper's
find
just
out
gonna be an
now.
even more specific one. Fascinated, Lucy read on. It quickly transpired that Lucy would in the future go back in time, something considered a crime by the collective. However, before Lucy could find out any more, the sound of her automatic turret brought her back to reality. Lucy turned and saw the all too familiar sight of collective agents. Lucy brandished her trusty knife before seeing one of the agents standing with a ball of fire in her hand. A mage. Lucy knew she was screwed. She could feel her knife in her hand getting warmer and watched aghast as the tip began to melt. Still, she wasn't go down without a fight. With a battle cry, she charged at one of the non-mage agents, plunging the red-hot dagger into an eye. An ear-piercing scream responded, and the horrible smell of charred flesh filled the room. However, before Lucy could attack the next, she yelped as melton mottle. Oh god. No, I've spelt it right, I just can't speak right now. She yelped as molten metal poured over her hand, a sudden intensity of pain, and a warmth the like of which she had never felt before. She barely stayed conscious, but this turned into a futile effort, as one of the remaining agents chose this moment to hit Lucy very hard over the head. Everything went black. Chapter 11. Black is the new orange.
Oh god.
Call back.
That is a good callback. Look at us. You're at 11 chapters.
I thought you said there wasn't a 7th chapter at
Yeah,
some
what you haven't noticed is it goes chapter 6, chapter 8.
I think I'm going to have to
because-
put in an award for the most evident sleep deprivation.
yeah.
Although that's
Well, no,
obviously going to be
what's
chapter
even-
Blackie.
what's even worse,
Blackie.
What's even worse though,
Why is it called Chapter Blackie?
Don't forget the interlude.
Interlude Blackie.
but what's even worse though is I wrote out the chapter names after I'd gone to sleep and woke back up again, because I still woke up within 24
you were still
hours.
in the 24 hours.
So I sort of went back and went, oh, I'll just put the chapters, and I was there going, have I written 7? Probably 8. So the worst thing is, I was awake. when I
Next
wrote
time
those
we do this,
chapters.
we're doing it in 12 because we probably only wrote for 12. I watched
Yeah,
Sonic 06
yeah.
for 4 hours.
5.
5.
It was very on and off.
Yeah,
I did that egg wyvern boss battle a few times.
I don't want to spoil the subject of my book, but it did inspire me.
Lucy awoke this time to find herself once again tied to a chair, but this time, rather than the flammable rope, metal restraints held her down. And also, this time she had a cushion. She was so glad. An agent stood before her and then sighed, resigning herself to having to start dialogue. It's been ages since I've had to do dialogue.
We
You
hate
didn't let-
dialogue.
You didn't let us explain last time why we took you. Lucy looked up into the agent's face, which looked perfectly normal, apart from a scar across her temple. No, you didn't. Well then, let me do so now. You see, in the future, you're going to... Yeah, we know that bit. What's next? Okay, right. So the problem is that time travel literally fucks with time. And not just gently either. It fucks like a sex-starved, horny madman possessed by a dirty-minded demon with a taste for sadomasochism. In short, not good. So we have to stop these time crimes. Now, killing the perpetrator before they do so creates a damn paradox.
Oh, don't do time travel on me.
Which is really
Can't
messy.
deal with that.
So instead we cut off the version after they travel. But this can alter things in ways we don't understand. So the safest way to deal with it is to capture the traveller before, and then send them back when they would so they can die swiftly. Lucy thought about this for a bit. That makes no fucking sense. That's a stupid way of doing it. It's like Looper, but worse.
Jonno, you're coming at me.
Is there a demon child?
Well, in this world, it's how it works, so enjoy the next few years here. And with that, the agent left. Lucy thought about her situation. She hadn't even realised time travel existed in this world. A sci-fi, time-travelling noir with aspects of fantasy and horror. What the hell was her life?
It's reminiscent of Douglas Adams as well.
This thinking got her nowhere, though. She had an escape to work on. Even with the cushion, this was not a desirable place to spend the rest of her life. And now she knew it would only take a few years for her to make the jump back in time. She'd much rather do it in her own terms than by the behest of a sinister government secret agency. The metal shackles were fairly loose, though not loose enough to wriggle free. With a wry smile, Lucy remembered that metal expands when heated. Calling once again on her slight powers, a gentle spark slowly heat her left shackle before her hand finally came free. Using her now free hand, she undid the shackle, allowing her right hand in all its bandaged glory to come free. Because that's the one that got, metal burn. I remember things.
Consistent.
Yeah, I know. I even called back the cushion.
I mean, Van Gogh was a bit of an oversight, but
I mentioned Looper.
yeah, I mean, I'm guessing this is like beyond Earth. This is in the
Yeah.
future. Men did exist.
Female version of Looper.
This time there were no weapons by her chair and no skylight above her head. She'd have to do something different. So she ran out the door. She heard sounds of people chasing behind her, but didn't look back. She had to continue onwards. And so she did. For the next few years. This is where I just want to get to sleep. Chapter 12, the time travel bit. After fighting many a gang war to find herself as the leader of the Free Districts, Lucy began to realise something. Every time she looked in the mirror, she realised she looked more like Des, and since their names were on both the same files, it would also explain how Des knew things, and definitely not be contrived in any way.
I like how the big twist is just so poorly delivered.
Yeah. Lucy still had the pistol with the note and realised that if she didn't travel back, then her younger self would be doomed to die. And then her current self wouldn't exist. Lucy decided the best thing to do would be to use her powers. To use her power to search time machines. The collective agency must have at least one in order to carry out their bizarre plan. Lucy realised it was time. Her gangs had grown in strength and infight, and Her gangs had grown in strength as infighting had all since disappeared since she had taken power. A war with the collective to stop its evil ways was long overdue. This chapter is basically just a Star Wars crawl. Just the first sentence is just, she's become leader of a bunch of gangs. The first part of the attack was to remove all rat hunters from Serengard-owned districts, and then lure an army of rats to soften up the collective armies. Then to counter the Sterlings, Heston Elder would try to seduce them to the more freeing liberal side. Any who seem unswayed would then be mercilessly killed by the Raven and her unsettling grotesques. Then only a few collective forces would remain, which could easily be dealt with by gang members and any disgruntled rioters. Hopefully, it would all go to plan. It's absolutely a terrible plan where I just go, right, every character I've mentioned, they fucking do something. This all meant something.
It's gone back. It's Avengers at the end. I like it.
Chapter 13. The plan is enacted. It all went to plan. Chapter 14. The end.
Oh.
Lucy looked at the time machine in front of her. So it had all come to this.
Is that not the end then?
You should have just said missing reel and just cut to this.
Cut to black. So it all come to this. In one hand she held a shotgun, in the other the pistol she had been given long ago. She knew what she had to do. Find a force field, set up a small metal shack, and be ready by the Raven's hideout. Time to repeat her life. Time to save herself, so she could die while she does it. It was a fucking terrible end, but right now she was just fairly glad it had reached an end. Just it's like
Looper?
No, your favorite Harry Potter film. It's Prisoner of Azkaban. They go
one.
repeat it so that they can, after having succeeded the first. Oh no, I've still got the epilogue.
Come on, we need the epilogue. Yes.
Epilogue. Before Des died, there was only one regret she had. Well, actually, no, there were many. Regrets such as why the hell she had been stuck in such a badly thought out world. Why had she done any of the stuff she'd done? And why hadn't she gone to the moon? However, there was one greatest regret.
Is that like a joke? Is that a callback just to the moon?
Yeah, I've called back Luther. I've called back to the moon.
She's the mediator.
Yeah. However, there was one greatest regret. The regret that she had never met Ethan, a god among mortals.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least they got the mythology right, that's all I can say.
A true aficionado of film and music, a man of great taste that would certainly never rate her life as highly as a collection of short stories or a Sonic fanfic.
For those of you listening right now who I can't see, I am praying to Jonathan.
Oh, this is just ass kissing. Epilogues don't count.
That is how you win every award at an awards ceremony.
Something desperate had to be done. Give me shelter is better than sympathy for the devil.
Oh! Wow, words of wisdom coming over here.
That's the end of my short story. I say short story.
That is the end of book one.
That really, from what
That's
I did
so
listen,
good.
from what I did listen to it, that was a pretty fantastic story, and I will listen to
That
the
was
whole
a
thing
masterpiece.
The
again.
judge-
that last section.
The judge
yeah,
Ethan O'Brien is only half here. He will make his judgment after listening to all three books.
We're actually
But,
on it.
I mean, that ending's pretty fantastic.
Right
I think
now,
that's probably one.
we're
of
actually
them.
at Ethan's deathbed, and this is like his last wish.
Coming up, book 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's so cheerful, that guy.
The Right Honourable Sonic the Hedgehog by Harry Cottle. Forward. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Before we begin, I must confess my sins in order to cleanse myself. I'm not a Sonic fan. I think that post-Sonic 3, the series has become total shit and that Sonic is now a complete meme. Okay. Now those who think this is a real fan fiction have gone, we can continue. This is kind of a parody of Sonic fan fictions, but also blurs the line between satire and actual fan fiction. For anyone who's stumbled across this text or audio, let me be clear. This is not serious. I've been brave enough to associate my name with this novel, and to any future employers, do not judge me on the contents of the next 24 hours of writing. Of course, it is important to remember the context in which this was written. This is like the legal bit, okay? I don't want any clips of this being played in a court battle.
Oh, well, I'm
24-hour writing. Wait, a 24-hour novel written by a 17-year-old. It's not going to be Moby Dick, okay? If any of you haven't listened to the introduction to the write-off, then please do that first, just so you can understand what this book did to me. To my friends who I wrote this with, and will be addressing right now, I blame you for endorsing this idea of mine,
You're
for
all
giving
welcome.
me the idea in the first place. You are accomplices in the crime this book commits. To my family, I hope you do not disown me. You must understand that I am a fucking idiot. To future employers, once again, do not judge me on my art. And to my girlfriend, soon to be ex-girlfriend, after hearing or reading the contents of this novel. Disclaimer. The views expressed by the characters in this novel bear no resemblance to the views, opinions, or worldview of the sole writer.
Once this is done, can we show this to everyone you've just named?
Yeah, we'll find your job. We'll find the library.
We'll
All right.
get you in court and then
Okay,
have that
so
played
you know,
over
so you know
to
how it
someone.
works. That each chapter is a quote, followed by who said the quote, followed by the year. Chapter 0. Bang. Big Bang. 4004 BC.
Accurate.
2004.
Let there be light, said God. Or maybe it was a prevailing cosmological theory for the existence of the universe. No, the theory didn't say that, but you get what I mean. The earth was created. How? No one knows, really. All that matters is that civilization was created, and it's alright.
I love how both of our novels just start with the beginning of
Yeah.
the universe.
Different cultures have differing opinions. That's a good thing. Despite all good things, like fornication and Breaking Bad, there are bad things, like Assassin's Creed and conflict. Whilst conflict may occasionally serve a purpose, let us turn to one of the great philosophers of our time, Edwin Starr. War. Huh.
What
Yeah.
is it good
What
for?
is it good for? This is a question that's played on the mind of the human race since they had minds. It took until 1970 and soul music, until soul music was popular because humanity decided racism was bad. Brackets, South Africa is still working on it. The rhetorical question posed by Edwin Starr was pondered upon for some time being 3 seconds before the next line, absolutely nothing. Those less aware might have missed this answer, so years later, Edwin Starr was forced to tweak his thesis and add the line, say it again. The song was about 1 billion years too late because the first humans were well rowdy. Adam and Steve, later retconned to Eve, had a fight with God because they ate a fruit, never specified to be an apple, you uneducated masses who has fallen victim to the media glorifying apples to encourage healthy body images for other fruits. The fruit in a bizarre turn of events was actually a snake. Must have been a banana then. This is terrible. Yeah. And the snake then became a fallen angel called Lucy Fur. Later retconned to be a man named Lucifer because strong female antagonists weren't allowed in Bible times. Wait a
They
minute.
are in my novel.
I thought humans were not around, but angels are? I thought angels were humans. You seen Tinkerbell? She looks pretty human. The following comments about Tinkerbell have been removed by the FBI. I was contemplating writing something. I was like, no, I can't write that. Basically, war happens a lot. Whether it be UG with 1G and UG with 2Gs fighting over ag in cave men and women, SJW talk times, or when society jumped the shark and decided to have the world, decided to put the world at war. Then writers ran out of ideas 20 odd years later and pulled the same trick twice, much like when Marvel did Civil War again. People didn't like the Second World War. It was pretty bad. So soon after, everyone realised they should stop being dicks and be nice and have a war where nothing happens. Then America goes and burns some children because of freedom of speech, and they lose to a bunch of men with sticks.
Yorks.
I wouldn't want to face an American machine gun without my trusty stick, says a Vietnamese man who looks a bit like Hugh Laurie. So what is it good for?
Blackadder.
Edwin Starr believed absolutely nothing, but that isn't the only theory. Jeeves refers me to a book which is too long to read. Besides, I don't even have pictures or nothing. It doesn't even have pictures or nothing. What I would imagine is that it would be a really pretentious way of saying politics. So what is politics? Google tells me it's a noun, meaning the activities associated with governing a country. Because like Loki says in Avengers Assemble, the high point of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, people like to be governed. Some countries have dudes who just rule over everyone and no one gets a say. These are called despots. And then we have democracy, so overrated. This allows you to vote for someone, to act as a despot. Then after a few years, you get a choice to keep them or bring in a slightly better or worse despot. Both of the two countries that this book takes place in, Britain and the United States of America, use the first-past-the-post electoral system to elect their representatives. For anyone who doesn't know, the United States... Why am I defining the United States? The United States is seen as the capital of the free world because it's really big and has loads of guns. Great Britain is like the little sidekick who used to own America, but is now basically a little bitch. Basically like Draco Malfoy. And America is Lord Voldemort. The T is silent.
Look how you pronounce the T.
Voldemort. Even though they are small in stature, we own the elder ones, motherfucker. We also created Harry Potter, even though it was Scotland. They are Crab to our Draco. Goyle is Wales, and Pansy Park's in the Republic of Ireland. Northern Ireland is Seamus Finnegan. Because Seamus Finnegan is Irish, and he blew something up once. Dean Thomas is the Isle of Wight. Lol. That's the best one. Come on, Dean Thomas is the only black guy. The Isle of Man can be Dudley Vernon, because the capital is Douglas. And that's close enough. Thanks, Ethan.
It's alright.
Back to the point, the first past the post system is a representative system used to elect MPs, or members of parliament. In America, they have a weird thing, but let's not talk about that yet. Here, we split the country into 650 constituencies, I think. This is because I couldn't Google it. Each constituency is a small area of the country. They decide if they hate poor people or not, and vote for one or two parties. The Tories, who like to keep the status quo and support business and old money. Labour, who believe the distribution of wealth, and also, who belief is distribution of wealth, and are also hopeless. Kind of like a sitcom character who should succeed, but the writer never gives them a happy ending by giving them a disease or something. Labour's disease is the economy, because taking all the money and giving it out again is also really hard. Sometimes the sitcom character who is ideologically sound, but still gets in all sorts of mishaps, like anti-Semitism and shit on the streets. Some mishaps include Tony Blair, a Tory in disguise. Much like Marvel's Secret Invasion run, Blair infiltrated the party and made long-standing members doubt their loyalty, allowing for more years of Tory rule. In 2017, we have Jeremy Corbyn, who was sort of like when Peter Capaldi became Doctor Who. He's good, but the scripts are bad. With Russell T Davies, he might have created some fine sci-fi TV. You following so far? Chapter 1.
I like that analogy.
Now is the winter of our discontent. Albert Lamb, 1978. The year is 1978. That's just in case you didn't catch the bit where it said 1978. The streets are lined with protesters. They step over the blizzard-covered streets. Each step leaves a mark on the snow, much like they aim to make a mark on the country. This particular protest is by the local trade union. The reason? The low living wage of the course. What the fuck? This book makes no sense. John Hedgehog looks out of the apartment window and observes the crowd. The anger that fills the men and women on the streets. The sort of anger that can only come with betrayal. John felt betrayed too. Not enough to brave the cold, however. His apartment was cold enough. The whole building lost its heating a couple of nights earlier, and the guy that normally repairs it was also on strike. Great. He knew that protesting wouldn't make a difference anyway. James Callaghan had been operating with a minority for years, and he was struggling to make up the numbers, and more pressure on MPs and marginal seats. Sooner or later he'd lose a vote of no confidence. The Tory landslide would be more inevitable than he thought. I should really use more comments. John was torn. Could he put up with so much economic unrest just to honour his roots? He'd grown up in a small village, his father a miner. He'd voted Labour all his life, and so had John. Despite not being politically active, he was aware of what each party stood for. Unlike his father, John was more engaged. Honestly, he felt like a liberal, but voting centre-left would just skewer the vote. He thought. This is my views. If more had followed this, then we wouldn't be in this political gridlock. The following days were unbearable. Nothing was guaranteed apart from the harsh bite of the cold. John's neighbour broke his arm and couldn't get proper treatment at a hospital. He'd remarked, "This wouldn't have happened under Heath," which had angered John slightly. If Heath had been this way, then the NHS would have made private, and any of the poor bastards in this building wouldn't be able to afford any healthcare. The neighbour was a quiet type, working class, who did all he could to distance himself from the title. The type who'd comfortably turn on Callaghan and vote Tory in the next general election. John still hadn't decided what he was going to do. A blizzard. John takes shelter in a public phone box.
Harry, can you read okay?
No, I'm a terrible reader.
Alright.
John takes shelter in a public phone box. Newspapers supporting the leader of the opposition blow past. They reckon she'll be Prime Minister within the next 4 years. They say she's cold and ruthless. John chuckles as he takes in the weather. She'd be a perfect fit. After the storm, he manages to stumble his way up to the building. "Oh shit, my keys." The first bit of dialogue. The building wasn't the type in which you could just buzz up to a room. You were given 2 keys, one to your room and the other to the front door. If you lost, then you'd have to ask management for another copy. And where was management, you might ask? On strike, of course. Fucking bureaucracy. The day couldn't get any worse, John murmured. Suddenly, the window of the first floor apartment opened. Through the window, he could hear a record of Roxanne being blasted out. That's a bit of Oscar bait.
I wonder who's winning the Best Use of Music award now.
Finally,
it's a bit more debatable.
Some luck. Well, mine actually fits into the plot.
Oh, well, when he described the scene in the restaurant with Shortchange Hero going over, I can imagine it in my head so perfectly because it was perfect music for that scene. Especially with what was going on in the restaurant.
Hero, that's like the main lyric. She's there going, "I'm not really a hero. I'm just stabbing some dudes."
Her name was Alina. She was a few years younger than I can't speak. And she was a few years younger than he was. Shouting up to her was like something out of Romeo and Juliet, or its modern counterpart, Love Actually. In the cold of the building, he found warmth in her arms. In the following month, this is just me really quickly covering over having Sonic. In the following months, they hid away in her apartment. Within month, as the love grew, so did something else. His penis. Eventually, it grew into another person. No, not the penis. Well, you know how it works. Unless you're Ethan. Callaghan lost the vote, like Jonno predicted, and they decided to vote for stability and strength. The couple voted Thatcher. 9 months later, they found themselves at the exact hospital which turned John's neighbour away. Now married, the hedgehogs are ready to bring their son into the world. Chapter 2. May We Bring Hope. Margaret Thatcher, 1979. Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister of the United Kingdom on the 4th of May 1979. This saw the end of 5 years of Labour rule. As the blue emerged from the red at Whitehall, the same was happening simultaneously. As Sonic the Hedgehog was born to his father, John the Hedgehog, and Alina the Hedgehog. I'm such a cunt.
Are they also hedgehogs or just regular humans?
Stop questioning my mythology.
I think this is the same universe that BoJack Horseman happens in, where animals can live side by side with humans.
As the country moved from the left to the right, Sonic's moved from the north to the south. They finally settled in North London. John had got a job working in the city. The evolution of Thatcherism had helped the hedgehogs massively. The country was seeing a huge divide, those who would benefit from the work of Thatcher, and those who would suffer from the Iron Lady's pulse blasts, like a shit Tony Stark. I just got that joke. She sold arms to raise money and reduce the power of the trade unions, privatising many public sectors. This, whilst remaining a strong ally with the Americans. "She's turned this country around," Sonic would hear his father telling people. Of course, Sonic was too young to understand what it meant. Their constituency was Islington North. The local MP, Jeremy Corbyn, a far-left Labour MP who often stood up to Thatcher. John admired Corbyn, but was now a disciple of Reaganism and Thatcherism, firmly anti-communist and pro-conservative. His father, Sonic's grandfather, could no longer... I think that's his name. Sonic's grandfather could no longer talk to his only son, who was a firm believer in the woman who had made him lose his job. Despite the internal conflict, Sonic had a happy childhood. The political unrest in the Hedgehog household was similar to the conflict of the time. No one talked politics. Sonic wasn't interested in world politics just yet. How many children are? Sonic was into video games. On his 5th birthday, he was brought a Nintendo Entertainment System. From then on, Sonic was a gamer.
What was the first game he played?
Sonic 06.
No, I'm getting a Nintendo child. Just fucking hate Sega, it's amazing. Sonic was involved in many playground debates about the best game console. Sonic was a firm believer that Super Mario and Zelda made the Nintendo Entertainment System the most superior gaming system on the market. The other kids were the Sega kids, who thought that the Mega Drive was a better console. The main game on this console was a cartoon and speed-based platformer named Sonic the Human. Sonic was often teased about this, growing his disdain for the pixelated human who collected golden squares and ran at the speed of a normal human being. Blue Hill Zone was his least favourite segment. Sonic would dislike Sonic for years on end. It helped him when the games became 3D and the quality genuinely fell off a cliff, so it became easier to hate. While Sonic enjoyed his NES, and later the SNES, his father encouraged him to get out and play with the other kids. Sonic was 13 when he got his SNES. He balanced it with his junior athletics, which he had taken up upon his father's request. By 15, he was a member of the UK under-17 athletics career. That makes sense. Sonic was shorter than his companions, but what he lacked in size, he made up for in speed and stamina. The hours were long and hard. The pounding of his meat on the track made Sonic sweat hard. The extra hours of practice, and what little spare time he had, couldn't be spent playing video games anymore. A Link to the Past would have to wait, he thought. Besides, what 15-year-old chooses to play games over socialising? I wish I could link with my friends online, he thought. Maybe sometime in the future. Having friends over to play on the NES was easy, when Sonic was a child.
Does Sonic have any friends?
Yeah, he's got friends. I'll get onto his friends.
Okay.
But now, well into his teens, his father would frown upon it. I'm trying to big up the father-son relationship. I think you'll find
it's working.
It's like Hamlet.
Well,
Sonic's
mother has been
alright.
mostly
Oh yeah, I'm doing a Godfather. Like the mother is just not. She's not a character. Sonic's relationship with his father was difficult. He wanted his son to have a career in athletics, while Sonic felt he was more gifted in his studies. This central disagreement was at the heart of every disagreement and argument the pair had. Sonic couldn't understand his father. He knew he wanted him to be happy, but at times he felt used, almost as if he was pursuing ambitions which were not his own. See, it's getting deep. By 18, Sonic had left home and left for university. His running would still be possible, as he got a scholarship, which would allow him to gain a degree whilst competing with the under-21 team. His degree was in law, a subject Sonic had always been interested in, but never had a chance to pursue. He struggled with settling in, missing Freshers' Week due to sporting commitments. After chatting with his dad, who encouraged Sonic to join a society in order to make friends, Sonic joined the Debating Society. His school friend, Bean the Dynamite, was also at the university and had recommended it to Sonic when he'd inquired. Sonic arrived at Lecture Hall 6 on a Wednesday evening. Little did he know, when he came out the door, nothing would be the same again. Chapter 3. A Chance for a Truly Greater Britain. Gordon Brown, 2010. Notice the jump in time. Let me just turn my alarm off. I think we should address the fact that Ethan is now no longer here. You may be hearing it here.
Sneezing in my heart.
Okay. The newly elected Sonic the Hedgehog walked up to the doors of Parliament. He'd never expected to get this far. Originally running as a protest candidate, Sonic's fame and name recognition allowed him to gain traction in his constituency. After Charles Clark, Labour candidate for Norwich South since 1997, gave his support for Sonic, his campaign was boosted rapidly. Eventually, he polled 30% higher than the original favourite Simon Wright, a disciple of Clegmania. Sonic chuckled. In the end, Clegmania involved losing seats and then backstabbing your constituents by getting into bed with the Tories instead of this radical third-party movement the tabloids had it out to be. What's the point of having a centre-left party which will aid the Tories, he thought. Unwittingly, Sonic had inherited the beliefs of his father before his mother. His father hadn't talked to him since he publicly announced his campaign. "You're naive," he had shouted. You can't change a thing, you know." What Sonic didn't know is that all these years ago, his father had contemplated going into politics because he couldn't afford to stop supporting his family and move straight to work. Besides, Sonic was going to change things. He just needed to make the right allies. Chapter 4. A mandate to get things done. Tony Blair, 1997. We're jumping back in time. This is like Sonic 06 levels of time travel.
There's Elise.
The University of East Anglia Debate Society returned to the campus with the national trophy. The debate had been on the rise of New Labour. The East Anglians were supportive of the inclusive message of Blair, plus support from the Murdoch papers, which surely see him beat Major in the upcoming election. The Cambridge University Debate Society were firmly anti-Blair and supportive of the Conservatives' chance of winning. The judging panel overwhelmingly voted for the East Anglians, much like the same panel would go out and support New Labour, helping Blair gain a strong mandate and a majority of 197 seats. That's just off the top of my head, mate. I know that. On the coach back to campus, Sonic watched his friends celebrating. The entire coach was buzzing. He thought how he would tell Amy Rose, his girlfriend, the good news. "We'll make a politician out of you yet," smiled Beam the Dynamite as he took his seat behind Sonic. "Heh, I wish," Sonic remarked. This confused Beam. "Sonic, what are you talking about? That was amazing. You shut those Tories right up. Imagine doubting Blair after the last week's Sun headline." Sonic nodded. "Yeah, but my athletics is going really well. In a few years I might even make the national team." Beam was stunned. "Mate, we all know you want to run in 2005, work your way up, and take over from Blair. That's just a shitty pipe dream, man." What is that? That's a joke. I think that's a joke I put. That is from Shawshank Redemption. As a line from the Shawshank Redemption, which foreshadows the end of the Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
"You know I don't stand a chance. Beside, my dad. What about you? What do you want?" Sonic looked out the window. "I don't know." After graduating, Sonic was offered that place on the national team, which he accepted. Beam went on to work for a law firm. Neither them or any members of the debate team went into politics straight away. General became a special advisor to the education secretary after Brown, but was dismissed when he was replaced by Cameron. In the upcoming months, Sonic dedicated himself to getting into the squad for 2000, the Sydney Olympics. He beat 3 personal bests in 4 months, and as a result, put himself in the forefront of the coach's mind. Amy would wait up for Sonic after the evening training sessions. "Why are you putting yourself through this?" she asked, as Sonic collapsed on their bed in the one-bedroom apartment they had spent their savings on in South Norwich. "You know how much I want this. You didn't used to be like this, you know." "I'm quite good at getting what I want," Sonic smirked. "Well, you won't be getting anything you want anytime soon," Amy remarked. Sonic's balls grew as blue as his hair. Despite his dry spell in bed, Sonic found refuge on the track. Eventually, Amy got what she wanted: oral pleasure. Sonic became a more selfless lover. It is here that Sonic learned more about the female orgasm. Instead of Googling it, he talked to Amy. They communicated, and eventually, Sonic understood how to tell if a woman has an orgasm. Also, if you don't know, then she's cheating on you. Real men go down. Sonic, however, will not go down on the track. He forced his way into the team through persistence and education. Seems the track would take some of the pounding away from Amy. Sonic stepped on the plane. Little did he know, when he was next on British soil, he'd never live a simple life again. Can we just take a moment?
It's a pity Ethan has left before that. Although perhaps it is.
Thing is, though, the book, it's like that bit in Titanfall 2 with time travel. I just don't top that. It's all downhill from there. Chapter 5, the best Olympic Games ever. Juan Antonio Samaranch. I found real quotes. It took me like 20 minutes to find these. 2000. The team admired the Sydney Opera House before heading back to the team hotel. No athlete was allowed to fully explore the city before the games had finished. In just under 3 days, the opening ceremony would take place, and 5 later, Sonic would be racing in the men's 100 metres. He qualified 4th, and the bookies had backed him as a 25-1 to win the gold. Sonic was shocked. Those odds for a first-time athlete? What are they smoking out there in the bookies? That's another joke just for me. Soon, they'd be moving into the Olympic Village and mixing with the world stars. The 100-metre qualifiers were tomorrow. Sonic felt prepared as he began to stretch before his warm-up run. He was determined to impress his teammates, watching from the benches on the other side of the training facility. As he approached the finish line, he wanted a big finish. He pushed himself harder and harder, pounding the ground hard, rubbing the surface with his feet. His body sweated as he pushed himself further. He could feel his teammates judging him. He had to go faster. Sonic finished 0.4 away from the world record. He got this. Sonic began to sweat. He was in the second lane, next to Bolt, the fastest man in the world. If he ran 0.3 seconds faster, he'd take that title. Sonic looked left, expecting the big man to be in the zone. He seemed distracted, glancing around the stadium and smiling. Bolt was complacent. Complacency. Maybe I do have a chance. They say every second counts in a race. Nothing is more true than the 100 metres. Each second feels like an hour. 9.5 seconds was Bolt's record. Let's do this. 0.5, Sonic ran. 1.5, and ran. 5, and ran. No time to look around. His legs were on fire. 7, 8, it's so close. 8.7, 8.9, 9, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3. Chapter 6. These were unforgettable dream games. Jonno and de Bolas, 2004. Sonic pushed the pap away as he entered his taxi. You notice the massive jump? You broke the world record, and now we're in the next Olympic Games, and he's famous. There you go. It's narrative storytelling. Sonic pushed the pap away as he entered his taxi. 20 camera operators, not men, and photographers assaulted his with flashes. Eyes with flashes. The sunglasses protected his eyes.
Flashing him?
The sunglasses protected his eyes as he and his wife Amy left their Norwich residence. They'd been met at the airport by a detail who'd fly Sonic to Heathrow before departing to Greece. It's because I know Norwich has an airport. He'd been using his gold medal for too long now. It's up for grabs. Bolt had been giving it the big one in his press conferences. Sonic, an opinionated and likeable private man, had refused to comment. The sources close to the hedgehog suggested that he is quietly confident he can retain the world record. How you feeling, champ? Smiled Amy, the ring on her finger reminding Sonic that the woman in front of him really was his wife.
What?
It's because I was like, I should just remind them that they're married.
Remind. Teach.
Yeah, confident. No, I have told you that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, and his wife Amy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Confident.
But it still just seems like he's reminding himself. He's like, oh, I fucking married this one.
Right. Pretty much, yeah. Okay, let's do that again. How you feeling, champ? Smiled Amy, the ring on her finger, reminding Sonic that the woman in front of him was really his wife. Confident. Don't give me that soundbite. I can see something's up. What if it was a fluke, Amy? What if Bolt just had a poor year? Sonic, you beat the world record. Shut up. And they did shut up, taking in the view as they flew across the Mediterranean. That's me, I can't be arsed. I was like, no one speaks until they're in the Mediterranean because I don't want to write any more dialogue. Sonic hadn't really had any doubt about his ability. He knew he could beat Bolt if he was fully fit. The problem was exactly that. Sonic had picked up a little niggle a week earlier. As he approached the stadium for the finals, his ankle began to throb with pain. He managed to pass a medical with the help of a lot of painkillers. His head was telling him not to race, but his heart was urging him on. Imagine if you could do it again. Consecutive world record breaks. It's not been done. Sonic the Hedgehog, the fastest man in the world, for 2 consecutive games. Here we fucking go. That's what Jeremy Corbyn tweeted when he got hacked. This time, he's apart from the big man. 4 lanes separate the 2 contenders. Stadium turns empty. 2 men, 1 finish line. 0.5. Sonic blasts out the blocks. He checks the soldier. 1, no Bolt. 2, he's in front. 4, now Sonic is. 6, push through the pain. His feet smash into the ground with enough force to shatter the earth. 7, so close. Suddenly it becomes too much. 3 minutes earlier.
Oh god.
Amy Rose was fearing for her husband's well-being. He's more nervous the second time than he was the first time. He only lasted 10 seconds the first time, of course. She...
What?
Yeah, basically running is the biggest innuendo in the whole book. She knew something was up as Sonic tripped in the warm-up. He didn't look healthy. An injury? No, she had. She didn't notice. Wouldn't he have told her? He lined up as she watched on. A man handed her a glass of Chilean Chardonnay. Too early for celebration, she thought. Amy Rose would never forget what happened until the day she died. In shock Her Chilean Chardonnay glass was dropped. The fragile glass shattered into hundreds of pieces when coming into contact with the ground, much like Sonic's ankle as he stumbled to the ground. His ring was flung off his finger in his collapse. It's like when Sonic takes damage, he loses rings. His career was over. Chapter 7. In politics, occasionally you can disagree. Tony Blair, 2005. 6 months into the recovery, Labour had won the third general election in a row. Being forced inside all day had made Sonic watch the news. I'm getting a bit lazy now. After the election result, many passionate Labour members were raging. The man who had once lauded as party saviour is now viewed by senior figures as a war criminal. The hospital bed was a prison, forcing Sonic into realising the truth about Tony Blair. Back at university, Sonic registered as a member of the Labour Party. His friend ranged from the far-left socialists who were anti-Blair to the centre-left Lib Dem types who loved the guy. Sonic was raised by a Tory father who was once a Red, had been fed a narrative of Thatcherism and grew up subject to anti-communist propaganda. Therefore, a Labour Prime Minister with a real mandate and a centre-left agenda which aimed for equal opportunities. What no one could have foreseen is Blair's lack of his real backbone. In 2001, the 9/11 terror attack changed the world. George W. Bush declared war on a concept, and he wasn't really taken into account. Blair came out in support of him and was rightly called a lapdog, now guilty of the deaths of countless members of the armed forces who were forced into a conflict which only created more conflict. It was trapped in this bed that Sonic became the man he was when he walked into Parliament in 2010, back in Chapter 3. Chapter 8, a new generation now leading Labour, Ed Miliband, 2010. Just for the record, we're now back in 2010.
So is he man or hedgehog?
It doesn't matter. He's a blue hedgehog. He's a blue hedgehog man. He's a man who is also blue and called Hedgehog, who looks just like Sonic the Hedgehog, but he's also a man with functioning genitalia. Don't question my book. Chapter 8, a new generation now leading Labour, Ed Miliband, 2010. Ed Miliband beat his brother to become leader of the opposition. Many junior MPs were supportive of their new leader. The media, however, were right on their anti-Ed Miliband agenda. They called him inexperienced and naive, but isn't Cameron? The country was done with the old guard. Ian Duncan Smith was a perfect example of this. Cameron won a general election? Well, if by one you mean having to form a coalition with the Liberal Democrats. How's your maiden speech faring? Sonic's office was a small one. Being a new backbencher of the opposition side, he was kinda not a big deal. Therefore we had to share an office with another backbencher, Knuckles. Knuckles was a rough-looking fellow, a tall, broad type. You'd expect to see him in a bar fight. He was elected as a member of Parliament back in 2005, a survivor of the Brown clear-out. That's not a racist thing, that's Gordon Brown. Knuckles campaigned hard in 2010 and increased his vote share in a marginal seat. Not great, replied Sonic. He was still torn about what to say. Did he go for a big statement and leave an impact like Gordon Brown, or keep it quiet and unremarkable like Tony Blair? The one thing I have to be is better than Blair, he thought. Knuckles pulled up a chair next to Sonic. Glancing at the multiple crossed-out opening lines, each varied from traditional to unique. Don't sweat it. The maiden speech is no big deal. I have to make a good impression. It's the maiden speech. Who cares what a Norwich backbencher has to say? I'm not just a backbencher, though. Knuckles smirked. Out there you might be a celebrity, but in here you're just a member of Parliament without a cabinet position. Sonic would love that to be the case. He constantly doubted whether he would have been elected without the name recognition. He cast his mind back to 2009 when he announced the campaign. I couldn't find a quote from 2009, so I did a chapter within the chapter. Charles Clarke was a new Labour candidate, much like Sonic had all those years ago. He was firmly behind Tony Blair. After he left the party in 200... I think I'm missing a zero there. Clarke struggled to support Brown. I think it might be 2005. All the qualities he loved in Blair, he'd failed to see in his successor. Therefore, he made the decision not to run for his seat of 13 years, Norwich South. Sonic had met up with him a few times, and after being able to walk again, he joined the team. After his injury, the media spoke of Sonic like a Greek tragedy, the underdog who came back from humble beginnings to win the gold medal before having his career ended by his hubris and ambition to succeed. The narrative could benefit a political candidate, pointed out Bark, the polar bear, a spin doctor Clark had been using for 10 years. If you ran with Charles as support in a well-controlled media message, you'd win this one, you know, Bark told Sonic. You think Charles would support me? Sonic had never taken running for seat as a serious option. The only running he did... yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. You think Charles would support me? Sonic had never taken running for the seat as an option. The only running he ever did was on the track and from the police. I don't remember writing that line.
What has Sonic done, Harry? What has he done?
I don't remember writing that though. Of course he would. A driven and dedicated man like you, well-educated, well-read, down-to-earth and honest. That's not even taking into account you've been on the front page of Time magazine. Even Blur couldn't break America. Blur? Yeah. You think they'd break America with shit like Park Life? I think this is me appealing to Ethan now. Another debate for another time. For now, we need to tell Charles we need to start a campaign. When a backbench MP announces a campaign, it's lucky to make page 20 in a local paper. Sonic was page 1 of every national in the country. However, over just a year later, people have forgotten all about the hedgehog. After forcing his way back into public consciousness, the coalition became the talk of the press, and a former athlete becoming a backbencher was now irrelevant. I really want that to be true, Knuckles. I want to be a regular politician, but I doubt they'll take me seriously. Jumping back into 2010. I probably should have put a line specifying that. No one takes politicians seriously anyway. Finish that maiden speech. I'm sure whatever it is, it will turn any doubters around. Knuckles got up and approached the door. I guess I'll be seeing you in Whitehall. That means like number 10. That's because like they think they're gonna like make it big, and they probably will if you keep reading. Chapter 9. It's got to change. Jeremy Corbyn, 2015. The 2015 general election was as a complete anticlimax. Amy Rose wasn't too bothered. She'd had many of those in her marriage. Okay, I've butchered that line. The 2015 general election was a complete anticlimax. Amy Rose wasn't too bothered. She had many of those in her marriage. Ed Miliband was touted by some polls to become the next Prime Minister. Instead, he was taking up Sonic's role as a backbencher. David Cameron appointed extra ministers due to the lack of a coalition. One of those was Shadow the Hedgehog, a promising minister who'd taken over as Home Secretary after Theresa May had lost her Maidenhead seat to Patrick Ashe, who became the youngest MP in the history of the Labour Party. There was plenty of change too in Yellow as Nick Clegg resigned. He was replaced by Miles Tails Prower, an energetic fellow who was set to reignite a comeback. Sonic was worried about some of the new talent being given a chance in key ministerial positions. His worries were calmed as Jeremy Corbyn was elected as leader of the Labour Party. The Blairites decided to support him because that was the best thing to do for the party, so Labour did really well, really quick, and fuck you. Corbyn wanted some fresh ideas. Quick to separate himself from the stagnated cabinets of his predecessors, he wanted younger MPs who supported his far-left ideology. Sonic was appointed the Shadow Home Secretary, shadowing Shadow, who was current Home Secretary. Sonic was eager to leave the shadow of Shadow and make himself the former Shadow Home Secretary, ex-secretary, and Shadow the Shadow Home Secretary, moving Shadow the Shadow Home Secretary into the shadow of Sonic. Should we do that one again?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Sonic was appointed as Shadow Home Secretary, shadowing Shadow, who was the current Home Secretary. Sonic was eager to leave the shadow of Shadow and make himself the former Shadow Home Secretary, and Shadow the Shadow Home Secretary, moving Shadow the Shadow Home Secretary into the shadow of Sonic. Knuckles was made Shadow Chancellor. Whitehall was close, but not close enough. Sonic refused to move to London unless it was on Downing Street. Amy grew tired of the distance between them. I'd write about her being lonely, but that's boring as shit and I'm really tired, so forgive me if the plot gets real stupid. Chapter 10. The plot gets real stupid. Harry Cottle, 2017. The year passed after some friendly bipartisanship. The Tories managed to make... Wait, what? Okay, a year passed. After some friendly bipartisanship, the Tories managed to make loving anyone and being able to marry them... Okay. The Tories managed to make loving anyone legal. Thank fuck. There we go. Both parties seemed to agree on Brexit too. They were confused. The country voted to leave the European Union by 52%. Then the clever people got told that the pound was down the shitter, and the stupid people were told that the brown people aren't from a country called Muslim, which isn't the capital of the EU. This caused the second referendum a day later, which was won by Remain by 99.999999999% of the vote. Nigel Farage, the one person who voted leave, was excommunicated from the country and sent to live in Muslim. During his time in the fictional city, he learnt tolerance and came out and publicly condemned Trump, causing the 1% of Americans who were aware of his existence to turn against the big orange guy. They voted against Trump, and he lost by 23 electoral college votes to Silver the Hedgehog. Silver had surrounded him with the best team possible: Jackie Sharp, Blackie, Bruce Wayne, Edward Meacham, and Moldy. 2016 saw the calling of a general election. After calling an instant second referendum, Cameron lost the vote of no confidence, which triggered a general election he lost. Many political commentators believe this was due to the book being written. This is believed by many political commentators believe this is due to the book being written by the pig, hurting his credentials as a viable candidate. Cameron won the election. Corbyn won the election. Cameron is just being kicked out.
Won the election.
Now he's in prison for pig fucking. He decided to call an election in 2020 because then Britain and America could be democracy buddies. Corbyn came under attack in 2018 due to an escalating situation with a radical new terrorist organisation. The high-scale attacks were big, and in scales, yet Corbyn didn't react. Sonic was shocked. He'd always disliked conflict, but as his father used to tell him after his mother passed. Yeah. I like brushing over plot really quickly. You can't pretend it's all okay. You've got to make it okay. Even if it meant betraying Corbyn. Sonic had to do it.
No.
The year is 2020. Corbyn has resigned as leader of the Labour Party. The man who successfully rallied the party to act before they lost public support was Sonic. He was the only candidate who ran for leader. I feel bad. Sonic tells Rouge the Bat, his wife. Feeling bad? God, you sound like Amy Rose, replied Rouge. Basically, it's become House of Cards. Okay.
Oh, no.
To become Prime Minister
was
always Sonic's goal. He thought he could do it after years of loyalty to Corbyn. The escalating situation made that impossible. He now understood Blair and what he had to do with Iraq. Sonic had gotten into bed with an American. Rouge was the sister of Shadow the Hedgehog. He'd met her on a trip to America. Her seductive wings and her importance to Sonic's plan had been enough to divorce Amy. Rouge was cunning and loved Sonic, an ambitious couple. They would do what needs to be done. Sonic is a man of integrity, but the world is at stake. Unlike Al-Qaeda, this is a more dangerous threat. Because this was not fueled by a justifiable reason, such as a misinterpretation of an ancient text, but for reasons that we're not quite ready for. After Farage had arrived at Muslim, they elected him as the leader of Muslim. He helped to end the conflict in Palestine and ended all Islamophobia in the world. He went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize, which would be rescinded after he called his friend a knick-knock after being bankrupted on sticks and stones. After winning the 2020 general election, Sonic had a mandate to act. His first visit was over to America. Chapter 11, America Fuck Yeah. Sonic, 2020. America fuck yeah, said Sonic. He goes into a script now. Scene: the Oval Office long table. From left to right: Sonic, Rouge, Shadow, Tails, Knuckles, Silver, Blaze, Jackie Sharp, Blackie, Meacham, Batman, Uma Thurman, Obama, Jimmy Smits, Ricky Fitz from American Beauty, The Gimp, Moldy, and Michael from Vsauce. Michael, hey Vsauce Michael here. Gimp, Ricky Fitz, Beauty, starts filming. Jimmy Smits, President Obama, why don't you start? Obama, well thank you for inviting me, President Silver. Uma Thurman, Quentin, what are you doing down there? Batman, thank you for the invite. I hope Wayne Enterprises can be of help. I think this is meant to be Bruce Wayne. Meacham, we all know you're Batman. Jackie, whips the Gimp. Silver, I'm sure you are all aware that danger is coming. Blackie, El Thanos. Sonic, no Thanos. Dr. Eggman. Tails, whispers, I am the Walrus. Rouge, this is why you don't invite a fucking Lib Dem. Shadow, his robots are approaching the Earth at some speed. We believe he'll be attacking with an alien militia in less than 2 days. Moldy, we believe you. Blaze, what's that green that powers his robots? Obama chuckled. You mean the Chaos Emeralds? Michael, they're like a type. Michael from Vsauce. They're like a type of energy we've never seen before. Blackie, donde está la biblioteca? Meacham, more powerful than a nuclear blast. Jackie Sharp, 100 nukes at once. Knuckles, and that's only one of them. Jimmy Smits, what? Sonic, new intel suggests he's in possession of multiple emeralds. Shadow, that could mean Gimp, a blast big enough. Silver, to destroy the Earth, so much as it would never exist. Uma Thurman, get off my feet. End scene. Scene 2. Sonic and Silver with their deputies, Knuckles and Jackie Sharp, move into a war room to discuss the serious issues while the other guests mingle. Sonic, I think it goes without saying that the situation has got out of hand. Jackie, that's an understatement, Hedgehog. Knuckles, so what's Eggman's play here? I've been watching a lot of House of Cards at this point. Silver, it seems like he's been using the Chaos Emeralds to build himself a robot army. The army has been exploring deep space for years. We believe he has made an alien species aware of our location. We believe he will then use the robots to escape Earth, blowing it up with the Chaos Emeralds. Chapter 12. Oh no, Knuckles. 2020. It was time. The moment. Okay, at this point, it's like 3 in the morning, and I've given up on making this book good. But the script is. It was time. The moment the entire existence of the human race was resting on this moment. All the armies suddenly dropped dead. That's like human armies. As Eggman floated down on a robot dude. It's over, Sonic. My alien friends have built a death ray which allows me to kill all non-important characters. Some members of the French military run at the doctor, called Robotnik or Eggman. Comment c'est attack, so Dr. Eggman? A couple of French soldiers. Yes, please.
What?
He dips the he dips the soldiers in his yolk. I don't remember writing that. Instead of being an idiot and not killing you, I'ma do that. Aliens appear out of nowhere. Nowhere spelt wrong. Like in the bad Star Wars film. Because they were all bad. It's a trap, exclaims the Gimp. The aliens open fire. Oh, I can't say that yet because we've not finished Red Dead.
I'll leave the room, mate.
Alright, Tony, leave the room. So I can say the line. I have to wait till he returns. Aliens open fire, ripping into the collective masses to shreds, like John Marston at the end of Red Dead. No Deadeye's gonna save you now, motherfucker. Now we have to wait for Tony.
Yeah.
I thought we would have finished Red Dead before we did this.
Yeah, totally taking so long.
Can you understand what I'm saying? Or is this all just going to be... Because I'm getting through it quick.
I think I understand what's going on. It jumped very quickly to, like, an invasion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it basically, from the moment in which Rouge says, you sound like Amy, I gave up. I mean, the script is evidence that I gave up.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I hope he's not doing this shit.
You're shitting.
You shitting. Oh, man. You might want to just stop the recording and then bring it back when he's back. Alright, are we ready to go from where we left off?
Yep.
Okay, so the aliens open fire, ripping the collective masses to shreds. Eggman had won. Oh, wait! My God! Vector with the steel chair! Big Cat with the choke slam! Fang the sniper with the shotgun. Brackets. KSG long barrel. Close brackets. Eggman was dead. He stumbled on top of the pile of Chaos Emeralds. Oh no, said the existence of Knuckles.
They're eating her.
Then the entire world was destroyed. The universe was gone. Chapter 0. Let there be light, said God. Or maybe it was a prevailing cosmological theory for the existence of the universe. No, the theory didn't say that, but you get what I mean. The Earth was created. How? No one knows really. All that matters is that civilization was created, and it's all right. That's the end of my book. I've done a J.B. Priestley cyclical ending. The Big Bang is Dr. Eggman falling on some Chaos Emeralds.
Well done. It's quite nice.
There we go.
That's actually a quite nice end.
That's the end of the book.
Okay,
Shall we finish and go to the third? Unless you have any comments you want to say, because I rattled through that one pretty quick.
That was a masterpiece. Just the list of people that are in the Oval Office is funny.
There's a lot of inside jokes there. Like, a lot.
Mouldy.
No one else will find it funny, but no one else than us will read it.
Let's move to the anthology.
Yeah.
Book 3, Tony Wilson. Take it away.
Ready? It's an anthology series by some random guy. BNB VC Ready. For those of you just joining us today, this is the Great British Write-Off, or Light Novel Challenge as it was later retconned to be. A challenge in which 4 children of varying intellectual ability put their writing skills to the test and see if they can write. Oh guys, we're 2 lines in and we've got a typo.
There's only 3 of us as well.
It was before Ethan also didn't do it.
No, he was never going to do it. He was doing one of the scripts, wasn't he?
I mean, he was meant to record it in like true British Bake Off style.
He was like the Pam.
Yeah, but he just didn't do that, did he?
Yeah.
He was.
It would have been a great video because like Sonic 06 was played, you know.
Wow, it was a real party, you know.
It was a motif.
These 3/4 children of varying intellectual ability put their writing skills to the test and see if they can write a light novel in 24 hours. Inspired by Digibros, I wrote a light novel in a day. It sucks and I hate it, but if it gets an anime adaptation, I'll pretend it was a stroke of genius, or a similar challenge was attempted. A few key differences are in the fact that Control-C, Control-V is disallow as copy and pasting for views that aren't in the tech know-how, and the 24 hours, they're all consecutive, so basically it was one day.
I've discovered a new thing you can do on your computer. It's called copy and paste.
I need to get online. So we're in for the long haul, and this means a constant stream of unintelligible nonsense and no editing, no looking backwards, like a shark. And you know why this is important? Because people care too much about perfect when trying to do anything. Start a new skill, hobby, whatever. People just want to be the best immediately, and this is going to become a fucking theme, I can tell, and become discouraged by their own aspirations and their own love for the things that got them into their hobby. They seem impossibly far away, and then they give up. But we're not going to do that. We're going to keep going through the bullshit and through the pain of how terrible this is, and you are. You're going to kill that sense of pride and put pen to paper. Do what makes you happy and have fun, and then what could go wrong? And who knows, maybe you'll entertain someone else along the way. Chapter 1, Harry Cottle, the best friend simulator visual novel. Day 1.
I'd like to pretend act surprised, but I have read this chapter.
I feel insulted.
I'm sorry, I had to screen it because otherwise I wouldn't be able to allow to read it. Day 1. Harry woke up. That music that plays whenever people in films wake up was playing. He stretched.
Against morning mood.
It's that one. He stretched and yawned, embracing the new day. He looked into his garden. Still there, he thought to himself, and began to perform his morning ritual and ready to go to school. On the way, he listened to one of his many podcasts, such as the one that has Witter in the name or something I don't know. Fuck, this is a long walk, he exclaimed to himself and no one in particular. A Star Wars wipe happened as the scenery transitioned between his home, the park, road, and then the front of the school.
I don't walk to school, but that is... Alright.
It's out of date, Harry, I'm sorry. Text began to appear on the screen. This text, as he took in the view. Someone approached him and faded into view. Morning, Harry. You're here early, a cheery voice in Japanese echoed out. Good thing Harry had installed the translation pack. It was Gown, the bodacious, boisterous bad boy who was head of P. Fuck, I don't want to be sued. Harry responded with, "Morning, sir," as two options appeared in front of him. One said, "See you around," and the other said, "How's things been?" but had a lock icon next to it, and it was greyed out. Damn, Harry hadn't bought the Friendly Senior Learning Squad expansion pack, so he picked through the only available option and held spacebar and skipped through the text. Words flashed by and the setting changed to a small white room. Fuck, too far. Oh well, I can't be fucked to go back and read that, he thought as a ginger giant faded into view. It was Tax Gateson, the only person who came this early other than him, outside of weird porn categories. No offence, I may cut this. Hey Harry, did you see the Boom Fist trailer? Tax spoke.
This is so old.
Initiating some well-written dialogue, and the familiar dialogue options appeared. For this time, what can you tell me about the Reapers? And hell no, anime equal gay but not okay. And the third, sure thing, you look good. You good for underlook tonight? And no. Although considering the weight effect option, he said the one that was initiating the underlook sesh. Nice. Normal chatter ensued in the room filled with extras and Gen Town receive. Another character he hadn't bought the DLC for. Damn BA. He cursed as he remembered his schedule for today. Quadruple politics with Mr. Sheet. Do not want. Sheet was about as interesting as their namesake, but with enough spacebar and time skips he made it through alive. Something about God, war, what is it good for? And Sonic? Okay, first break. Harry traversed 7.4, the room where all the cool kids hang out. A few familiar faces faded into existence in front of him. A Johnny and an Ethan. Are we going to Wesco? Sure, I don't mind, Ethan responded.
Special J.
Okay, Johnny responded, as his character sprite changed between a few different runs to show his hands moving. Where's Tony? Harry inquired about the weird guy that insisted on being around. He's ill today, and he wasn't in physics with Big D. Johnny provided the helpful exposition.
This has got to be the worst thing for anyone who isn't us. Just listen, anyone listens what the fuck is going on?
That's why I did it first.
Although the way I'm going to edit this is going to be the third hour of the video.
Okay, so only Ethan will be watching at this point.
Even he gets it in a different
Ethan
format.
though get the big D.
Ethan never gets the big D. Let's move on.
Johnny provided the helpful exposition. Thee undertook the familiar ritual of going to Wesco and buying their lunch. Harry used his credit card to buy some healthy snacks because he's an adult.
I don't even use my credit card anymore.
A voice called out, "Hey Harry, can you spot me some change? I need to buy some Oreos." The options appeared. I don't have any money, and fine.
Is this from Ethan?
Yes. Fine, minus £1.14p. Feeling like a generous god,
That's actually what they call it.
Harry said the second option. Oh my god, thank you so much, you're actually a G. And he acquired the sacred goods. They hurried back to school, and Johnny ate his apples, and Ethan walked to school. The subjects of Pirates of the Caribbean came up, and Ethan let out a primal screech of "Hatnapley!" And another series of questions came up. Repeat with him, Hatnapley, or pretend you don't know this motherfucker. And without a second thought, he chose the second option. He returned to the gate, and Johnny leaned in to open the gate, and Harry responded with thanks as Ethan dragged behind. Harry returned to the second half of his quadruple politics lesson. I'll have you know that I spelled politics. Sheet told them all about Jackie Sharp. Who the hell is Jackie Sharp? Anyway, the second break came and went, and the rest of the day went uneventfully.
Your voice is like a text-to-speech.
I'm sorry for that.
Who is Jackie Sharp?
I put in more emotion. I've actually started fucking typing somehow. This is what I don't use.
There's a down keyboard button there.
Day 2. In the interest of good pacing, the story cut ahead to where Harry was once again in the 7th form study block, and another tall guy was in the room. This room must attract them somehow. Is it the high ceilings? Hey Harry, you know Arsenal are shit and Man United are the best. Your good friend Saddam called out. Only one option existed, and it said, fuck off. Which Harry clicked as fast as lightning kung fu fighting. Saddam left as the author had run out of jokes for him and didn't want to get racist. He was better than that.
You're better than that.
A day filled with freeze. Nice, thought Harry as he began the day of doing fuck all. He considered catching up on his Netflix shows, going to form, or working hard. Which would he choose? Feeling bad for forgetting about it yesterday, Harry elects to go to form. As luck would have
I always go to form.
Yeah, but I forgot to mention form in the chat in the day before. Feeling bad.
You can't go back and edit. That would be too.
I needed to maximize word
You're
count.
pulling us like a New Hope special edition here, aren't you?
Alright, Darth.
CG.
Harry shot first.
Where am I?
Right, Cole.
Feeling bad for forgetting about it yesterday, Harry elected to go to form. As luck would have it, another form's tutor was ill today, and another familiar face faded into existence. Alright, Harry, Sam Harrison called out. He did look a bit farmerly. Harry responded in kind. Alright. The conversation ended there, and neither knew if the other was actually alright. Humans are odd. P1 ended, and Harry found himself in a free study room doing absolutely nothing. Say it again. Johnny appeared. Hey Harry, he said as he appeared, placing his satchel on the desk. Have you seen the latest Mudwap? Oh, sorry. Have you watched the latest Mudwap? What do you mean watched? Harry said. Harry says.
It's too accurate.
But I say, listen though.
It's too accurate. It's because Tony's not actually in the story. Like, otherwise it would be him saying that.
What do you mean watched? Harry said, engaging his pedantry laser weapon. You know what I meant. I have, yeah, it's good. Such crazy things, Harry responded. I haven't yet. Waiting to finish triple maths at the end of the day, Johnny responded. You're in for a real treat, Harry said, searching for a synonym to responded. So are you going to the group meetup on Friday? Johnny inquired as the options appeared. Y and N. Harry selected Y. Because I want to know, Johnny replied. Harry cursed the author to the prison that was his existence and said, yeah, he was going. Now why are you talking in second person? Johnny pressed the situation. Really, Harry said, looking straight at the camera, which he couldn't do because this game was first person.
Oh God, he's trying to look within your soul.
He pressed escape because at this point he was tired of the bullshit, but the button was unresponsive. A message came up. You have to find a best friend before you can leave. Day 3. Harry knew what he had to do. He had to find a best friend. But who? He had many friends, a few pals, a bunch of comrades, a couple of amigos, a baker's dozen of bros, like a fuck ton of guys, and a whole hood full of dudes, but a best friend. How does he get one? Harry aimlessly drifted through the school and stumbled across a familiar face that fades into existence. Hi, H.A. Arold, Tony said. Shut up, you self-insert character. I'm trying to find a best friend, H.A. Arold snapped. Okay, Tony responded as he left the scene. Who should he go for? Who should he go to for this? For his. I think I meant to say this. Anyway, the options appeared. Ethan, Johnny, or secret option C, Lawrence. He gave this much thought after immediately ruling out Lawrence. He went with Johnny after flipping a coin.
Flippism.
Fun fact, I actually flipped that coin in real life, I'm pretty sure, as I was writing this. I think if you remember, we did actually have that moment.
I think I do, yeah.
I was so deeply absorbed in my work.
And decided to go after him. After worrying his way through many study rooms, he found Johnny again in the first room he was in. Fucking artists can't be bothered to draw more scenery, which TBH is true. Johnny, for the last time, faded into existence in front of Harry. Where did you go yesterday? You just sort of left midway through the day, Johnny inquired. That plot hole isn't important right now. What matters is this. Harry said as he dropped to one knee and held up a copy of Belinda Blinked 1, a modern story of sex, erotica and passion, how the sexiest salesgirl in business earns her huge bonuses by removing her high heels. Will you be my best friend? He proposed, opening up the book to reveal a ring that looked like the Gortys Project before it became like a child or something. Because
it's Careless Whisper playing in the background.
It's because you've never...
Yes, we've already had this moment.
I like a child or something because he's not finished Tales from the Borderlands yet.
My laptop still won't finish it. Because Borderlands is okay. Sure, Johnny responded, and the world began to fade to white as the credits rolled. That was shit, Harry said. I can't believe Tony picked this for the Mediate podcast. 4 out of 10. Interlude 1. Well, that was a thing. Harry... Oh, this is when you... This is when we had the anime argument, so that's why I say it here. Well, that was a thing. Harry, I'm sorry. I promise I'm not actually mad at you for disliking anime or confusing with wider Japanese culture. You're a cool dude. So what have we learned from that train wreck?
You're a coal dude. You're on the coal list.
We've got a lot of words to get through, Jonathan.
A cold dude.
You're a cool dude. So what have we learned from that train wreck? How can we improve in the future? Fuck if I know. Maybe more adverbs, add some atmosphere, and less memes, in brackets, at least for now. I'm going to try an alternative for a story I really like, so I hope I don't do a botched job of it. Let's go. Also, the interlude sections are a chance for people to put their thoughts in without interrupting the flow.
We're doing our thoughts.
You're doing it as you go? Alright, fine.
Yeah.
There goes that idea.
Also, we should probably say that the order we've done it in is the least words to the most words.
Yeah, so we're in for a long haul. Chapter 2. First paragraph. In the slums of New Maidenhead, a new power is rising. In the blind side of Government Watch, where goings-on are best left in the dark, someone is fighting back against fate, against everything. Will they succeed? This is their story. You know, maybe I did ask for this. A friendly voice echoed in a white operating theatre with a slight metallic tinge. It worked. We succeeded. But at what cost? Said a voice filled with trepidation as the world faded. Next paragraph. Your first mission, Jeremy. Details enclosed. A holographic envelope read, gripped tightly by a metal hand. The data began to transfer, and rhythmic blue pulsing illuminated the rotocopter. The floor below gave way to the ground after 1,354.5 meters. The swooshing outside of the blades did little to ease his nerves. A prompt to enter combat stimulants into his body appeared out of the corner of his eye. He declined. He needed the fear. I won't make the same mistake again. The last thoughts in his mind as his harness detached and the ground came rushing closer. Next paragraph. Sparks filled the room. Blood pooled on the floor as blue illuminated the exposed circuitry on the wall. He slowly walked towards the data terminal. So many years lost. Time to take it back. A glowing red blade appeared from his right hand and pierced the interface in front of him. Next paragraph. Boss, wake up! The voice was like a knife in his temple. Red pooled in his visual. I'll get her if it's the last thing I do. He tried to raise his arm, but his right was gone. The pistol was magnetically joined to a plate on his hip. He knew he couldn't make the shot with his left. Next paragraph. A bang woke him up. Back at base, the ceiling above him stared back. He must have been sleeping. He stood up and went to the bridge, every other step echoing with a loud metallic thud. Next paragraph. Sure you're going to do it? She called out with a voice young and innocent. What choice do I have? We need the food. Someone replied, older, though not by much. Put the damn helmet on, a gruff figure called out. I'm going under for 6 months. You can wait a minute. He looked around, a cluttered room filled with oddities and garbage. A chair sat in the middle with a strange cap and dozens of straps. It hummed faintly with electricity. He locked himself in. She looked at him, waiting for something. Anything. I'm sorry. The world went white. Next paragraph. You know we're not ready. Someone tried to be the voice of reason, a uniform emblazoned with too many medals for his young face. His old eyes pleaded with the machine in front of him. We can't afford to waste another moment. With every second, she gets more powerful. He responded, full of conviction, without a shred of doubt in his heart. Did he have one still? It doesn't matter. I said that wrong. It doesn't. All he knew was that she certainly didn't. She's in that maze somewhere. I'll find her and put an end to this. The cloaked capital ship, New Islington North, looked over the slums of Maidenhead, a network of rectangular buildings and connecting pathways, several 100 meters deep. One of them would die in that metal hell. Next paragraph. It was easy. Years of running the country, what's left of it, through a vast connected network of neurocomputers, had left her immobile. She couldn't even move her body, even to scream as the red cut her apart. But it wasn't over. The system was still up. No wonder she was easy to find. She had beaten him again, barely. The red inside him still burned. He knew what he had to do, even if it meant tearing the entire world down. Next paragraph. It's impossible, a meek voice tried to explain. We'd have to shut down every machine in the world to flush her out.
That's impossible.
Then we know what we must do to save this country and put its people to rest. A message came out. We'll have to start construction immediately. Next paragraph. Can you believe we're getting a new reactor? A man in a business suit slurred over a lunch table. This will be great for business. Through a screen, someone responded. This contender came out of nowhere in the energy industry, and they're going global too. The delay made the woman on the other end sound artificial and stilted. Not worried, are you? He teased as he drank more than his blood regulator would have liked, ignoring the flashing red light. Of course not. Production increase is always a good thing, but still. I mean, I'd hate to be energetics industries right now, but never mind. Whatever, the man responded, just before his face hit the table. Next paragraph. Welcome to the annual UN meeting, sponsored by Trident Limited. Buy green energy at carbo fuel prices. An assembly of world leaders meeting to discuss global affairs and trade secrets behind closed doors where national media had been specifically denied their licenses to report. I realise me and Jonno both have 1984 in our books. Proceedings were interrupted as the theatre went dark. A bolting sound hung in the air. A single stage light illuminated the figure on centre stage. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well today. Corbyn's voice resounded as the hall was shocked silent. Many of you may be a bit confused to see me. You did try and kill me after all. Ha ha ha. He chuckled. With a glint in his eyes. In a way, you did. He removed his suit's jacket and brandished a dry-barreled minigun that Flash materialized in his metal hand. Now, listen carefully. All 650 Trident reactors are ready to go hypercritical worldwide if you don't do exactly as I say.
Is that a random number, 650? Well, the number of constituencies?
I think it is the number of constituencies.
Because they all seem to be weird ship things, because he's on US Islington North.
Oh my god.
Flying over
it works so
slums
well.
of Maidenhead.
So every constituency is as a Trident.
With its own reactor.
The world went dark. Oh, sorry, new paragraph. The world went dark. Every machine was running on reserve power and its days were numbered, unless with express orders from the new world leader himself. It was almost over. The final machine where she was hiding like a virus that had to be cleansed. High-range scanners could run at full power now that the maze was free of interference and had been evacuated. I know where you stand now, he says, signing her death warrant. She was in the maze with him. Next paragraph. The reactor lay dormant below. On the left stood Corbyn, and on the right stood her. I realise subtlety is not my strong point. It's over, his voice echoes in certainty. The majority is mine. The monster opposite him stood silent, a mechanical six-legged and four-armed raptor. Answer me, Mecha May, he shouted. If nothing else, then face your death with certainty.
The fact that she has that actually just called the Maybot. You know?
If nothing else,
I prefer
then...
Mecha May.
If nothing else, then face your death with certainty. No 180s now. You died once. You will die again, Corbyn. An inhuman, distorted message screamed. Next paragraph. Explosions echoed. I said, the name is Korborg. A red blade flashed, cutting off the third arm of the monstrosity. All your escape routes are disconnected. No one else is caught in your web. They had met in the middle of the reactor platform. Korborg panted, venting heat from his overloaded system. Your run ends here, cut through the air as Corbyn was pierced by a bright blue laser blade.
His name is Korborg.
intentional.
Oh, the narrative voice comes from Corbin, you know.
It's almost John Wiggins. Corbin, it's almost as if I forgot. Corbin was pierced by a bright blue laser blade, blood dripping off into the reactor below. I guess I have to play my trump card. This is going to hurt in the morning, Corbin said, facing evil head on as the reactor below whirred into life. Next paragraph. Standing on the edge of the crater. A figure overlooked the destruction. Years had passed. The world had moved on. It's in good hands. Robo Bernie is a great leader, he whispered, assuring himself. The wind blew and a deep green was painting the landscape. And now, for the first time in a while, Corbin moved forward. Interlude 2.
Oh my god.
That was pretty neat. I think it was creative, but I should try and tell stories that make sense. That would be a good shout, and I might return to the OG cast. That was a lot of fun to write because I like coming up with all the sci-fi craziness. It's why fantasy and sci-fi settings are cool, because you can come up with new things to an audience and throw them for a loop. Which is why I'm going to try something different yet familiar for the next go. Let me have a drink. Oh man, that's definitely not going to pick up on the mic. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Should we just start coughing?
You start
clearing
sneezing.
my nose.
I can still hear him outside.
Someone just, play the trumpet there. Won't tell the difference.
Do you want me to halfway through your story just start going dun 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 and then chime 12 times?
Yeah, I forgot to take the clock out of the room. I usually do, but
I like how there's an edit where we pause for 15 minutes so you hear the clock and then we start the next one and so 30 seconds in the clock goes again. Anyway, I want to hit chapter 3.
Yes. Chapter 3, Day 0. I had to get ready. What does that mean? All I know is that something is coming and I have to prepare for it. Let's see. Food, water, what else? Maybe tools. Hang on. What am I doing? I should write this all down. There's something strange in my room. It looks like a portal to a fantasy world. Without thinking, I stepped through it. There was a strange series of colours and the world appeared to fade away. Where was I going? I had a feeling I would have more questions than answers by the end of today. Day 1. I found myself in a strange city, bustling with activity. Many people were coming and going, so from what I can tell, it's a trade city. It's got its back to a large sea, and there seems to be a number of races other than human. Also, I can't read the language, but I can understand it when spoken. Real original, I know right.
ReZero.
I think every fucking thing does that, though. I need to find a way to not starve and die of hypothermia in the night, which would be a pretty good immediate goal. I wonder if anyone else came through the portal. I hope they're not a dickhead, because we'll have to work together to get out of this place.
Like how you walk through and your immediate goal is, stay alive, but your ultimate goal is get out of here.
Yeah. I've got reasons to stay on Earth, right?
It's another style.
Yeah, if you were immediately forced to go into a magical portal, would you want to stay in there?
Was he
You
forced
weren't
to go?
forced.
I probably didn't explain the fact that I probably didn't explain it very well.
Oh, you mean it sort of appeared and then dragged you in?
Something
Like
like that.
Loki
Yeah,
with
I can't. I'm not doing get help. So the city, it's called Umberton, and apparently there's a bad crime network I have to keep an eye out for. Also, magic is real. I saw a street performer doing some crazy shit with particle effects and everything.
I like how you're just, there are races that aren't human. Magic is real!
I'm
What?
just saying it and it makes it true. That's what fantasy is, right? I saw a street performer doing some crazy shit with particle effects and everything. But it looked like he was the equivalent of a busker or something, because a few people were throwing coins at him. I need to find a way to get money in this world before my food runs out. Fuck, I just realised I need to get a job in this world when I didn't even get one in the last world I was in. I bet Harry feels really smug right now. I wonder how they're all doing. I found someone else. Ethan.
Moved on quick.
I know. Sorry. I realise I'm not going to do the paragraph break thing.
Is
It's too much
it
work.
like my chapter jump? Which is just a leap through time after she's got everything sorted.
This is a leap. Oh man, you're going to love the end of this. I found someone else. Ethan turned up and it looks like he had a pretty similar story, except he heard a knocking at his door and after he felt the need to prepare. Can you believe he brought his guitar with him? We've been hiding out in back alleys and we've decided to stick together for now to find a way to survive. Almost had a run-in with a few unsavoury types, but Ethan talked them out of it. I'm glad he's around. This is the fucking Ethan suck dick chapter that Jonno had, but except Ethan's not here for it.
I didn't even have one of these.
Yeah, you just had the
my
roast.
one wasn't pretending to be an actual chapter of the book, though.
Yeah, but I've got a balance because one's actually an actual chapter of the book that's
The only thing I did to suck up to him was put that line about park life in there. It's the only thing I
He's
did.
the judge, so
I like
yeah.
park life.
I'm glad he's around. Maybe we could work some way out to survive with that guitar of his. Day 2. Didn't catch up with you yesterday. Ethan worked out a deal where we can stay at an inn if Ethan can drag customers in with his music. They haven't heard anything like Black Hole Sun or all that Ethan likes, but it seems to be doing a great job. There's only one problem. We found another person from our world. Hat Napley. And now because Ethan's...
when he'd show up.
And now because Ethan's such a nice guy, he's staying with us. Worst part is, when he was told to prepare, he brought Pirates of the Caribbean 3 at World's End on a portable DVD player with him.
Is he eating bacon fat?
Great. So we watched that because there's not much else to remind us of home. Hasn't been any more
On
useful.
what?
What?
Here, what did you
say? What did I just say?
You said you watched it to remind yourself of home.
Yeah, there's not much else to remind ourselves of home.
What did you watch it on?
Oh, I said he brought it on a portable DVD player.
Alright, okay.
It's 2006.
That's like...
I bet Hat Napley owns a portable DVD player.
It's got a laptop, mate.
Oh yeah. Hat hasn't been any more useful than me, which makes me feel pretty ill. So I should try and learn something useful, like magic maybe. It seems pretty rare. So I'll see. Oh, fuck! I just did the dedicated wham thing, didn't I? So we looked about town with some. I like how this is all a diary and I've screamed into the page. So we looked about town with some of our loose change, and by ours I mean Ethan's. So we got convinced by Hat Napley into buying some weird wooden gizmo thing. It looks cool, but there's no way it's worth 5 coppers. It looks like it has a lock or something, but none of us can open it. Fucking salesman told us it was magic or some shit, but he's obviously bullshitting. This is
like Fable 2.
Let's just hope the rest of the day is more eventful. Ethan bought some of the world's sheet music, if you can call it that. It's like written on a wheel that is spun by a foot pedal, because most music is designed to be played continuously, in shops or whatever. Again, couldn't read our world's sheet music, and I sure as hell can't read this. Ethan said he'll learn. Might as well pick up a hobby while we're here, right? Day 3. So, last night was weird. Basically, couldn't sleep last night, so I went outside for a breath of fresh air, and there was this cat. And being the weak-willed man that I am, I abandoned all reason and went to follow him. Before I knew, I had left the city walls and found myself in a forest. I didn't even find the cat again in the end.
This is the D&D thing. This is the D&D cat.
I wish it was.
Still need to do that.
We do. But I did fall asleep again in the forest. Even though we're in the winter, I think. This place has like 7 seasons, which is confusing. Anyway, long story short, I made it home in the early morning, and now I'm allergic to metal. Great. I've gotten Fantasy World AIDS. My phone now burns bad when I hold it. Good thing my pen isn't metal. This room is so stuffy. I need to get fresh air again. Oh, and a patron left this crazy looking book that glows. So I guess that's cool. Hey, Borrance showed up. Someone I don't mind turning up out of nowhere. He tells the story of remembering travelling in a rowing boat before arriving here. He also brought a big fuck-off knife because of course he'd own one. Not really a fan of the look of it, but as long as it's not stainless steel, then it should work.
Boris does have a big fuck-off knife.
Boris. Oh wait.
Boris, sorry.
Oh my god. I realise something that's going off. I just looked ahead of it. Anyway, he also brought a big fuck off knife because of course he's own one. Not really. Oh sorry. It's a whole damn family reunion here. Wonder who else will show up. Seems thing pretty stable for now. Not strong, but stable. Holy shit. So things went down since last time. I fucking jinxed it, didn't I? Wait, no, I realised I've said I fucking jinxed it, didn't it? So these ruffians turned up again, this time asking for security money from some group called the Jeff. Why can't fantasy worlds ever be simple? Why do they throw all these nonsense words at me and expect me to care? Oh yeah.
Shadow jackets.
Oh yeah, what happened? So things got heated, to say the least. Negotiations turned violent. Hurtful things were said.
Negotiations? We've lost all communication.
They turned violent, Jonno. It's a theme.
It can only mean one thing. Invasion.
Roll for initiative.
He gave us our money. Wait, no. Hurtful things were said and they stabbed the owner. He gave us our money. Although it hurts to hold now, I still have a need for copper and silver. Oh yeah, Hatton aptly died, trying to be a hero or something stupid. Boris got mad, like really, really mad, and swung really hard with his sword, cutting up busters left and right. Ethan played this epic war ballad, Short Chain's Hero, and everyone on our team was moving fast as lightning, kung fu fighting.
Why? Wait, this is weird. It's like, was there a conversation I missed?
Nope.
That's what the 40 minutes was about, Harry, that you weren't in on.
It's all about Short Chain's Hero.
I did a really speedy job of running and hiding. Look, I did an okay job of patching up Boris after the fight, okay. Good thing I had bandages on me.
You're the healer of the group, you know?
So you're the
nothing wrong with
magician.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
the mage.
So now we need to move out of here. In the alleyways once again, huh? At least it feels warmer now. ... I can't believe Boris convinced us to watch Pirates of the Caribbean 3 at World's End. I'm so fucking mad. It's like Hat's spirit is still with us. Go away! Okay, I may go mad. Not Boris levels of mad, but still. He tried to break open the wooden thingy we found earlier, and now he hurt his hand. I did a pretty good job of fixing him up again. I guess being a healer is a respectable job. And okay, I swear I heard a rat speak to me earlier in the storm drain. It's it! Didn't catch.
You fucked with rats, Tony.
I am Tony! Didn't catch what he said though. Okay, I am going crazy. Day 4. We met Johnny, another friendly face. What a guy. Tells the story of arriving in here at a long-ass cart ride and transporting it to this world the second he was executed. Crazy.
What?
He's brought
That's
all...
Skyrim.
Have you noticed what the intros are?
Oh, wait, so...
We'll go back.
So what was your intro?
Mine's
was...
the one that isn't. That's
Yeah,
why it's
yours
just in the room. But the other ones, I think they're like game intros.
Wait, Ethan's was a
Oh,
knocking at the door.
so yours is Skyrim.
Yeah.
Lawrence's is Bioshock Infinite. Is it?
I think so.
What was Ethan's?
Ethan's was a car ride, wasn't it?
No, somebody
No,
knocked at his door and he had time to prepare and he grabbed his guitar.
That would have been the Bioshock Infinite.
One
had like a rowing boat.
Yeah, that's Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So there's more than one Bioshock Infinite
What the
intro.
fuck?
We met Johnny, another friend. Anyway,
Does he come in a plane crash?
crazy. He's brought all his school textbook with him, which will probably come in handy. I'm glad I left mine at home, to be honest. I remembered the weird magic.
Come on, the physics and chemistry textbooks,
Yeah.
those are weapons.
They're massive. You could kill a man with those. I remember the weird magic book, and I showed it to him, and he took an interest in it. So now there's me, Ethan, Boris, and Jonno. Look at this team. There's no way we can lose. We set up a deal with another inn, but apparently the Jeff...
Wait, what is that?
There's-
Is that Sonic?
No, Lucio.
Oh, they're basically the same guy. Both go fast.
We tried to set up a deal with another inn, but apparently the Jeff has us blacklisted for our little stunt earlier, so it's back to the street, boys. So I guess we'll have to either gather the money to leave town or take down a major crime ring. We're fucking doing it. I can't believe Boris convinced Johnny and Ethan, so by the rules of fucking democracy or some dumb shit, I guess we have to take down a major crime ring. Is that how it works? I don't know. I don't do politics. So I guess we should try and plan or some shit, right? The thing is, we don't have very many friends here. I didn't have very many friends back in the old world either.
But we're just basically all your friends from the old world.
Yeah, I'm not there. I'm fucking dead. I'm
Well,
back in my light novel.
well, so we're doing it tomorrow. There's a way inside through the moat into their fortified fortress. Shut up, I'm not a writer, okay? Then we go inside and question mark. I'm really gonna die here. I hope Ethan and Johnny and Borrance are proud of themselves. I've heard horror stories about what's in there. Let's hope it goes well. Blood stains the next following pages. Jeff is written down the side of the page, each letter standing for something. J, Jonno. E, Ethan. T, Tony. H, Harry. Interlude 3. That's the end. It's like No Country for Old Men. Doesn't have an ending.
Oh,
GCSE
no.
drama.
Wait, so it was us all along.
I think I was the baddie. Oh no. It's like fucking. I'm not going to say anything because anything where you were secretly the baddie is going to be a spoiler, isn't it?
It's like a
Ender's Game. Sort of.
What's that? Resistance. That was one where you were secretly the bad guys, right?
Resistance for Old Man. It was Resistance. It was like a neo-Nazi website. So they had to add Fall of Man.
Miller, what a lad. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like that story the most because when writing you have to set up plot points and then just sort of like it's like trying to run with like the fucking egg challenge. Just have to catch them at the end.
Doesn't have enough
I didn't
memes.
do that one. Yeah, no.
But the memes are.
The meme ones come later on.
Cool.
And Interlude 3 starts with the most memes. This is the point in the night where people are starting to go insane. Everyone is writing this together in one room except Ethan, who's playing Sonic 06. Everyone
We've referenced it so many times.
Everyone is legitimately going insane. I forget if these sections had a point other than spamming for world count and going into an Australian accent. I don't know why I did that. I wonder how long I could go for like this. They keep bringing up these weird jokes and the gay tension between some of the people in this room.
Yeah,
honestly, things are being revealed that we probably shouldn't have. I need to think of more things to write. But how do people
Revelations.
We've lost our communications.
Alright, we need to do like a fucking shot every time that joke comes up.
Such a good joke, though.
How do people do this for a living? Granted, people don't do this for 24 hours, but whatever. Chapter 4, Anime According to Harry.
Yeah.
A small girl woke up from bed. For the second time someone has done this in this story, but the first time in this anime episode. She was like -4 years old, but had the most sexualized character design in the universe. Immediately, her mind went to the Orlando Bland main character who had absolutely no fucking defining features and had the exact face every A1 Pictures lead has, because fuck the Bechdel test. Gigibro is great, watch him for informative anime review. Oh, I spelled that wrong. She woke up and got dressed in her school uniform and ran to school holding a slice of toast.
One breast bump.
And ran to school holding a slice of toast in her mouth and arriving at school as the anime opening played. Ryuga Ragateki Wakurao, Ryujin no Ken Wakure, fucking Yoshi and Nintendo DS. I'm not going to admit to knowing more Japanese than that. And that was a really bad song that Tony liked. Yeah, sorry, those are the...
So the anime opening is Let the Dragon Become You. Something about a Dragon Blade, Yoshi, Nintendo DS, and then Brick's anime opening.
The main character was called Genji, and Neckbeards had figurines and body pillows of her, which is fine if you're into that. No, it says, it's fine if you're that. Hashtag anime is okay.
Are you a body pillow, Tony?
You actually own a body pillow.
Yeah.
It was a gift, okay? And then a whole bunch...
Yeah, I know.
I liked it from you.
It's still a good gift because I can still go, oh yeah, but you have a body pillow.
I'm not getting rid of it. Hashtag anime is okay. Then a whole bunch of complicated bullshit happens for no reason and the story is bad. The end. Interlude. This is where the stories start getting bad.
Yes! That's what I signed up for.
Interlude. Anime is niche. It's not for everyone, but it's such a...
I like how much I triggered you.
Yeah,
so much is like a third
mad.
of your book is like trying to justify anime.
It actually is as well.
I give a shit about anime.
I
I don't hate it.
Like 2 weeks after, I'm like, Harry fucking doesn't like anime.
You're still thinking about it, like up in the night.
Harry, there's something that comes back later on. You should keep your eyes open.
Since then, you've watched Neo Yokio.
One of the hottest takes of all time is you're racist if you don't like anime.
That was funny.
It's like,
yeah, but you're racist.
That is one of the hottest takes of all time. I need to fucking watch more Studio Ghibli and make my decision.
Yeah, because it's such a broad medium that there's a good chance.
I don't like anime for like adults because it just becomes weird.
There's a good chance you can find something you like, so give it a try. This message brought. This message brought. No.
I should do a debate symbol.
I'll This message is brought to you by Crunchyroll. Now I have to come up with some. Chapter. It's only 13. That chapter is just. It just says chapter. I'm not gonna lie. It's only 30 minutes past midnight. The fuck do I do? Harry and Ethan will fuck before the night is over. And Johnny's gonna pull an M word. I can't say it, but I've written it down.
I'm just saying, the gay tension is definitely between the two people that are always hitting each other and sitting on the same sofa. And for some reason, know ridiculously loads of weird secrets about each other.
Interlude. Who reads this shit? Who writes this nonce? The best
Nonce! I don't think you wrote that as you meant to say it.
I've said who writes this nonce.
How do you spell nonce?
Nonse.
Alright, okay.
Chapter...
Talking nonsense.
Whatever. This one's alright. Two brothers staring each other down.
Two sisters.
Kick, one of them shouted as he kicked the other guy. Not bad. How about this? He exclaimed. Big punch as he gave him a really big punch.
This is like badly translated anime.
Blood spewed from his opponent's mouth. Well done, but it's nothing compared to this. Really strong attack, he said, as he fucking does what he said. That's the joke.
Strong message here.
That's the joke. You have improved, the other brother responded as the brother stabbed him with a katana like that bit from Pulp Fiction without the rape. How's this for you? Overload hit him real good, he says as he picks up a washing machine, battering him over the head with it, causing a comical imprint of his face to appear in the metal. Heh, not too bad. I guess I'll have to use my secret move. Super secret, say it loud as you do it, fucking bullet throw. The brother, who was the younger brother, the younger one, because I need to distinguish them, said, and this is the emergency alert. We interrupt your scheduled bullshitting to give you this breaking news. This is the point in the story where the event happened. In a room with all this tension, literally insane kiddos doing something stupid. Something stupid was bound to happen. When returning from the kitchen, Tony was spooked by Harry when opening up the door, and he screamed like a fucking bitch, probably waking up the nice people and Ethan, who were asleep at the time.
He did.
Who were asleep at the time.
I'd like to call upon my one witness, Jonathan Knowles.
In a fit of rage, he puts the random gibberish at the beginning of the story. He feels really bad, and he'd like to take this point in time to apologise to God and all who may be watching this book/audio podcast. Like how neither of those work. This is revenge for that time Tony did the same thing to Sam in McDonald's. Feels bad, man.
That's such a good callback. That was like 2013.
I remember, Harry. I keep track of my sins.
That probably kept you up at night. It's like,
obviously, I'm like, no, my sins have been atoned for. I don't know if I have the creative heart to keep going. I'm easily discouraged. It's a wonder I do anything. Putting one heartbeat after the last is a lot of hard work, you know. Let's put the past behind us and get to work. Resuming scheduled programming. As the advert interrupted the younger brother's secret move, throwing off his aim as the bullet and it missed and hit the wall behind the older brother,
point out there's like no paragraph breaks for the.
Obviously.
I'm looking forward to the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm waiting for the Wolf of Wall Street Bechdel test one.
Fuck, my secret bullet technique uses all my 1 bullets, the younger brother cursed. I guess you still have much to learn. Lesson 1, carry more than 1 bullet. Infinite bullet stream of river-like throwing. The sound of his powerful move echoed as the older brother threw a constant piss-like stream of bullets at his younger brother. TBH, it was a bit weird. Good thing the younger brother was fast as lightning, kung fu fighting.
That's the second time you've made that joke.
And could dodge the bullets.
He's just had to factory reboot himself after the event.
Did you know that was the second time you've made
yes. Alright, Neo, the older brother said, thinking he could never forgive the What's-It brothers after making Jupiter Ascending.
No, you can't call them brothers anymore.
Sorry. Sorry, what?
The What's-So brothers.
The What's-It brothers. After making Jupiter Ascending.
You're allowed to Google shit.
No thing.
Well,
Is,
yeah, but
after the Matrix and before Jupiter Ascending, they made What's-Its.
Now, time for me to finish this. Kevin Spacey in America.
Oh, this is dated badly.
Oh.
You won Best Use of Kevin Spacey Award.
This is so dumb.
I'm gonna
I
have
have to read this out. It's so dumb. Okay. It's not even that funny. It's just stupid.
Do you want me to read it?
Kevin Spacey in American Beauty rolling the joint steamroller attack. The younger brother said as he laid on the ground and did the sausage roll.
Can I read this?
He did the sausage roll but really fast towards his older brother. Oh no. At 1 a.m. That is the funniest thing in the entire universe. Oh no, the older brother shouted. No, the other brother said, using Knuckles' voice. I guess I'll have to bring out the big guns. He shouted, like Donna Burke sings really loud, whoa-hoes.
That's such a niche joke.
Wait.
At that time, is that song playing in your playlist?
So, yeah. Big gun. No, big gun. Big gun. Big gun. Gun. Big gun. Gun. Big gun. Gun. Big gun. Gun.
I saw gun.
It's in there. He said, pulling out, you guessed it, a knife. Then he tried to stab him like the egg from Shakespeare. He rolled.
Oh my god! Fucking got a bit of Macbeth in there.
He rolled through the knife and became 2 smaller versions of himself. Crazy man. Impossible, the older brother said, shouted. You've mastered the knife split, become 2 smaller versions of yourself technique.
You know when you watch something really good and you think, I think this was made for me. I think this book was actually made for me. It's got the "Mother, he hath killed me" line from Macbeth in it.
The 2 smaller versions of the younger brother said, 2 beings who have been split by a knife and are coming together with the fury of at least 2 suns super strike. The force of the incredible fusion of the 2 being coming one again as they struck the older brother. A blinding sunlight filled he whirled and pushed the older brother through several buildings. Was the sound the older brother made as he was pushed by the building. For some reason, I don't know.
Written that down.
Says right there. For some reason, I don't know. Well done, brother. You've made me unleash my full strength. Burning passion for anime, firing down on the unworthy. Stronger than Batman, Superman, the Flash, and the Hulk combined into one attack.
Why is the Flash
Overload
there?
pack a
He's
punch.
not even strong.
Ray guns strike from the heavens with the divine might of Jesus. Punch in the goddamn face, he said, as he uppercutted the younger brother up through the sun, and the sun went supernova.
When I scared you, did your mind just jump back to when you were 8 years old?
Yes.
When you wrote this?
I reset. I had to
factory reboot.
Like Harry's Xbox.
Oh, wow.
It said as he uppercutted the younger brother up through the sun, and the sun went supernova, but somehow the Earth was fine, I guess. In the depths of space, the younger brother's corpse was floating. No, said to death, as he came back to life through the power of plot bullshit. I have to win, he said in the oxygenless atmosphere of space, because shut up Neil Smoke deGrasse Tyson. I'll use all my power I didn't even know I had. Do you know what that's a reference to?
No.
It's the one Onion title, which is Man Loses Little Last Bit of Hope he didn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
He said,
Man who's lost all hope. Like loses extra bit of hope he didn't realise he had.
yeah. From the power of God and anime and all that is good and righteous in the world, give me the strength to smash the bitch out of this solar system into next week by using the ancient power language of jive and the gifts bestowed to this world from the heavens. That is Belinda Linked 1, a modern story of sex, erotica and passion. How the sexy sandwich girl in business earns her huge bonuses by making up the best at removing her high heels. Belinda Blink 2, the continuing story of dripping sex.
Is this the actual title?
And big business deals. Keep following the sexiest sales girl in business. Ashley earns her bonus by removing her sink blouse. And Belinda Blink 3, the continuing erotic story of sexual activity, dripping action, and even bigger business deals as Belinda relentlessly continues to earn her huge bonus. Then the biggest laser beam appeared and struck through where the older brother was sitting, and it came out the other side of the earth, hitting through Australia, but it was like the outback or something, so no one got hurt. I don't know why I care so much about like not hurting innocent civilians.
You've obviously just watched Man of Steel and you're enraged.
Also, the place directly the other side of the to the UK is just ocean, so...
Yeah, but you don't know where they were, Jonathan. They were at the, what do they call
You
it?
might get
the antipode to
They
Australia.
might fucking knock down Sealand. King Roy!
The 27 people who live there.
King Roy, man! Fucking King Roy!
Where the fuck am I?
I love Sealand so much.
The biggest laser beam appeared and struck through the... But it was like the outback or something, so no one got hurt. The laser beam was so huge, it was like at least a car wide, and it made a cool boing, boing, boing sound effect. Suddenly, a very crispy older brother appeared behind him. 11! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark 1. Nothing personal, kid, but this story ends here. A blistering 110% power, all martial arts used at once, energized with the strongest Pokemon such as, but not limited to, Shiny Charizard, Mewtwo, Gyarados, and Bidoof, Overload, Hyper Beam, Flamethrower, Tackle, Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, Dragon Claw, Hardened, Metal, Screech, Explosion, Hydro Cannon, Draco Meteor, Friendly Plant, Splash, Rage of a 10,000 YouTube commenters who've just had their anime wives insulted by Pro CD, Rem is not a 2.5 out of 5, what the hell, raining down Fury, insult all the finishing moves from every anime, including the weird ones that take your opponent's clothes off, even though they promote bad stereotypes of anime, which are only partially true, and Demon Strike, Overload, all the Overwatch ults at once because he cares about a limbs more than the objective. Plasma Ion, Whiplash, from Iron Man 2, Whip Attack, Fire Beam, Power of Pure Energy and Rage, burning in the depths of the hearts of man, kill this fucking guy, Devil Voltage Crush, and then the younger brother stabbed him. The end. Also, one of them was black for diversity in a way that wasn't racist. Interlude.
That is the best one. Just for the Macbeth reference.
Interlude.
Just all the Belinda Blink titles.
I typed it out every time. I did not Control C, Control V. Interlude. I can't believe I played out one joke for so many words and managed to rip off Genji and Hanzo and two brothers from Rick and Morty. Nice. I still feel really bad for screaming like a bitch and the Ethan abuse. Because we were being really mean to Ethan at this time. I think that's why I was nice to him earlier. Because he was just getting relentlessly assaulted.
Yeah, but like in that day he deserved it.
What was he doing?
He was being like annoying and playing Sonic.
Oh, and he wasn't.
Yeah, man. Anyone who does anything Sonic related deserves to be killed.
I still
Harry buying a vaguely Sonic related T-shirt.
Wearing a Sonic related T-shirt.
Yeah, but I'm just really good at buying gifts.
He is, to be fair. Nice. I still feel really bad for screaming like a bitch and the Ethan abuse. Seeing what I thought to be a faceless murderer really put the fear of God in me, and now I'm like, SLJ from Pulp Fiction, again without the rape scene. Chapter Z. Ree! Interlude. Hatnap play! That's that chapter. I'm sorry. Chapter Knuckles the Echidna featuring Knuckles from the Devil May Cry series. The Mendables. Tim Roth, the best B-list actor. Only idiots would think it's Woody Harrelson. Nick Cage and
I like how I got one up over at this point. We were being so petty about someone who has so few flaws. I'm like, put in a line about how Tim Roth's a more B-list actor than Woody Harrelson, just to get one up on you.
Nick Cage and Jeff Goldblum, and also Chris
Jeff
Pratt.
Goldblum is not a fucking B-list actor.
And also Chris Pratt, but Shia LaBeouf.
Wait, who's that?
Chris Pratt.
But Shia
LaBeouf.
Oh, the Mark...
But do you mean someone's actor called that?
Oh, the Mark Strong butt game. I must have told you about the Mark Strong butt game.
The several unlikely heroes who would become the best pro dick suckers is crossed out here. Best pro assassins this side of the East Coast.
I think this is just one big thing for a punchline, isn't
They
it?
would do the missions no one else would wanted to do. Forget the night of the impossible task. This was day of the really hard job. And they needed to do something with cats and resolve the issues that present themselves in a narratively satisfying way, involving their characters as they face new challenges, and also it's shot really well, and they would have won Best Picture, but like a James Cameron film one or something. Interlude. Literally just spamming for word count, don't mind me. Chapter. Fuck Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sorry, Ethan.
Oh, yes! Oh.
Leo's sex wife was pissed. I can't believe I was written out of this shitty goddamn
Can we
film.
we
need
stop?
to explain it.
This is the chapter which Tony was like, I'm gonna rewrite The Wolf of Wall Street. And then he rewrote it like as a feminist piece, and then upon like looking back, he was like, he doesn't pass the Bechdel test. The character's names are Leo's sex wife.
It's written as Leo's ex-wife, because it's in reference to a man. That's not a name. So actually, her name is first name Leo, second name sex wife.
That's worse. Leo's sex wife.
You know what I should do? Get back at this nut-busting drug addict. Fuck, I didn't hit him. I didn't. Oh, hi, Margaret Robbie. Leo's sex wife called out. Let's get Robert married. Yes, she responded, in all capital letters. They then had a lesbian sex scene, and it was 69 minutes into the film.
Nice.
Also, neither of them can tell when to stop, because how do they know when it's finished? What are the signs?
Google.
Then they started a business selling products ethically in exchange for money, and they get stupidly rich somehow and decide to save all the people that the Leo fucked over. Also, Margaret Robbie decided to become Batman because having stories makes sense. It's nearly 6 a.m. There was this poor guy who fucking lost everything. His wife left him because he spent all their savings on fucking pink sheet stocks. More like pink shits. So they gave him a fuck ton of money so he could get his life together. He also asked to pull an M-word, but they declined. Meanwhile, Margaret Robbie...
In space?
Meanwhile, because I've spelt it mean. Margaret Robbie was wearing the Mecha Batman suit underneath a trench coat, and she found Jonah Hill and punched him into the sun. What else do I do with this idea? Said Tony. Gimp, replied Harry. And so Tony
It's
gave up.
because I was writing the fucking script bit. I was like, oh, the gimp.
And so Tony gave up on this idea. The end. Interlude. Interlude. This is a train wreck in slow motion. Chapter Blackie. Blackie. Interlude. Blackie. Chapter. It's officially 6 a.m. VA11. Horley. A cyberpunk bartending action game.
I'm leaving.
Cyberpunk bartending action is a game in which you serve drinks to people in the future wilds of Glitch City. The story is told by the interesting and varied patrons you meet as they ask you to serve them drinks or occasionally have vague requests open to your interpretation as to what to serve them. Your drinks influence the story, but for the most part, you take a backseat to the events of the world. relying on forming an empathetic connection with the repeat customers. It plays to anime character tropes and humour, but uses them to build people you can look forward to serving. It rewards the time you put into emphasising these characters by showing their dreams and their fears in the way that comes as a pleasant surprise to characters whose premises can be described as literally just Adam Jensen and 13-year-old sex robot.
5 out of 10.
10 out of 10. The story isn't afraid.
Somewhere in between.
The story isn't afraid to bring up subjects they're engaging to listen to, as the main character Jill Stringray provides a shoulder to cry on, or the voice of reason for her patrons when topics such as love and corgis come to the bar. While maintaining a relaxing atmosphere, the story still manages to have its fair share of drama when the main character gets involved. That the main character gets involved in. It has you worrying for the safety of people you've come to care about, and hope for the future to turn out all right. For a story with such an incredible sci-fi atmosphere and jazzy soundtrack, you'd think there'd be a catch, a flaw to the game. But no, it has none. It's an emotional story written for people who will appreciate not just its silly in-jokes, but its depth and its heart. Truly a game for the ages. That's why I'm retroactively bumping its score to an 11 out of 10. For VA 11 Hall A.
I'm going to retroactively bump its score to a 4 out of 10.
Maintain.
Yeah, just to counteract you. Checkmate.
Chapter Halo vs COD. I mean, Halal is just better, I'm sorry, but the 11-year-old me cannot move an inch on this goddamn topic. Halo is just more tactical and also better in every way. All of them.
I thought you were going to write the song.
I'm sorry.
I thought that was just going to be the entire song.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Interrolled. It's true. Chapter Mouldy. I'm actually turning into mould. Oh no. Interlude. Okay, now I'm just not even trying. Chapter Ethan's script. The setting was a desert near LA. Todd, you set us up, Abraham. You fuck. Abraham, it's not my fault. You got the Spanish Armada involved. And also, you're a fuck too. Victor, the FBI is gonna turn up any moment, and it's all because the Roberto stole Armenian gold. Bean, I can't go back to prison. Fuck. Elise, no one's going to prison if the Jack lawyers are still on our fucking side, okay? Beatrice, we ain't breaking out the Jack lawyers until the fat fucking lady sings, okay? Ethan, don't worry. Ethan, don't worry. I can solve everything. I'm like the main fucking guy. Fallout Boy Uma Thurman starts playing. Alice, hey HR, can we cut this scene? Ethan's really weirding me out. Director, sure. End. Final interlude. Well, that was it. All 7,500 affronts to the English language. It's been a wild ride. I've really taken you all for a ride. I'm gonna take you for a ride. You know what? I'd do it again. Probably not in a hurry though. I'm gunning for those Oscar nominations. They say you should never burn a book. You should never burn books, but well, this exists. God, if you're up there, I promise to be a more virtuous person in the future. As for how writing went, let's just say there's a good reason I don't do any essay subjects. Now. So it's all over. So it's over. All done. We can leave now. I'm sorry. The end.
That's it. It's over. We've done all we can.
I have the high ground.
It's like The Apprentice. It's like we've left the room. Now it's up to Lord Sugar to
That was an ordeal.
interrogate us.
That was an ordeal.
So what I think we'll do is I think we'll
I need a tissue.
we'll send these to O'Brien. He'll listen to them, and then he will probably come up with some questions and some like queries, and then
Almost as if O'Brien is here.
there he is.
I could have seen that coming. It's like Ethan's here again.
Oh, I can't do the Ethan like blowing at the nose. Oh, here we go.
Come on, let's all get in on it.
It's just an instrument.
He's literally the elephant in the room.
That's the funniest.
It's the funniest thing I've ever said. Right. God, Ethan.
Imagine someone stumbling onto this this audio
Yeah,
video
but like
file.
because this is one single audio file, they have to like stumble upon it and listen for like 3 hours to get one really shit joke. Right, come on.
One amazing joke.
Is he in the room? Is he actually here?
He is here and he sat down.
Amazing.
Do you want to introduce and then I'll start reading out the awards and the nominations?
Come on, you're the judge. You've listened to all of them, haven't you?
Yes, I have. So there are a few things I want to say straight away. The first thing I have to say is that I want to apologise to all three of you because I know that with these awards, from the nominations, you'll be sad and disappointed that I missed out a few jokes. And you'll probably be like, oh, what about this one? Oh, yeah, wasn't that a great joke, Ethan? That sort of thing.
I can't even remember my one.
No.
Something
Okay,
just too dense
the way it
to
works
unpack.
is I've created a list of awards and I've counted up the winner of all of these awards. And the person who has the most awards wins the entire competition, and then they have to host it next year or be the judge next year. Is that true? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe as the host, they're not just going to play Sonic 06. I'm distracted.
Well, I don't know. I think the punishment of the winner should be that they have to play through Silver's storyline the following year.
No, I think they should try to like film it in
Yeah.
true Bake Off style.
I-
Write-Off style.
I think they should.
Well, I thought we were the light novel challenge.
If I win, which
it doesn't matter.
I will definitely.
the Great British Write-Off.
Sure. Okay, so I guess we can start off with the first award. So, best character name, and the nominations are as following: Des Ex Machina,
It's a good one.
Heston Elder
Oh, you've got to say the name of the title.
Well, if they've listened to it, they'll know.
Yeah, I know,
who
but
it
like
is.
in true Oscar style,
Alright,
you've got to say
okay.
that.
I've also apologised because I listened to most of these very late, and I haven't made a note of all of the characters, and they're very, very, very brief. So they might be vague, and you'll be like,
It's almost like
Oh.
you came up with these awards while listening to them in order.
best character.
So it was like most of these ones are going to favour the first one you listen to.
No, it's fairly even. So, best
I don't
character
mind.
name: Des Ex Machina from Johnny's Story, Heston Elder Blumenthal, also from Johnny's, John the Hedgehog from from Your Name Is Harry, Harry's Story, Sonic's Grandfather, which is also the name of Sonic's grandfather, from Harry's Story. Got Mecha May from Tony's,
Thank you.
and Korborg from Tony's.
Double bill.
And the winner is Des Ex Machina from Johnny's Story.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
one to,
Well done.
Got my
That
awards.
is a good name.
I'll put this down here.
So, the next one is Best Joke, and this by far has the most nominations. There are so many.
This is the only one I want to win.
Yeah, so
I'll retire
you-
after this.
So, we started
That's
off
my elephant
with
joke. I just made.
your elephant joke, isn't it?
Could you imagine if it was? Wreck on it.
Harry, don't get too meta.
So,
Shut your pleasure trick. See, all the cracking all these jokes.
I think that's
Ethan,
another one.
you can't
Oh,
say.
fuck off.
Harry, you can't say crack. It's PC
So-
gone mad.
Guys. The first joke is
Told you I was
from
a
John.
nerd. So, is it the Legend 27?
Ethan, go.
I was stunned.
that's right.
Go
Legend
ahead,
27.
Ethan.
So, the best joke. We start off with
Did I win
Pigeons
for
of
that
long.
one?
Well, you let me say the
No,
fucking jokes,
I'm
and then I will
nervous.
tell you who the fucking winner is.
Ethan, come on.
Pigeons of long stop shitting here. Johnny's Story. Most of these will be from Johnny's Story. So, allergic to sexual tension.
Oh,
She was on a roll.
yeah.
That is a good one.
That's not my favourite joke, it's one of the best.
The following jokes are from Harry's Story. So you got Vietnamese Hugh Laurie, which made me laugh very hard.
I'm fucking laughing at my
I think because these notes
That's
are so
what my
brief,
entire
some of them I've got to try to
one
remember
is
what the
now.
actual joke was. But I've got Romeo, Love Actually. Is that the modern Romeo and Juliet is called Love Actually? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Is that
I
what
think
it
I
was?
said like Romeo and Juliet or its modern equivalent, Love Actually.
That's right. Sonic's Blue Balls, which is a particular favourite of mine. Oh my god, this joke about Sonic running away from the police. What has Sonic been doing his own time?
I couldn't even read that one out because I couldn't remember writing it.
Sonic spends most of his time running on the track and running from the police.
It's never brought up again.
I don't know where.
Is it because he's like a minority?
Yeah,
because of his
exactly.
blue
It was
skin?
actually a a satire on.
Hashtag Blue Lives Matter.
It's a social.
Please
That's
stay,
the police thing,
please
though,
stay.
Jonno.
Please, like whenever anyone gets arrested, it's like, please stay. It's like, yeah, we have a police. Cool, police.
So, your joke about shit like park life made me laugh as well.
That was like blatantly trying to suck your dick.
Yeah, I know. This
We all
next
had
joke
those
here
parts in our
about
film or
I
books
think it was
even.
Theresa May losing her seat to Patrick Ash was so funny. So funny.
We love Patrick.
The whole Shadow cabinet was a very funny section as well. Farage goes to Muslim was very good as well.
Did it bring back memories, Ethan, of Gun Game?
His Peace Prize playing Gun Game. That's the bit I found funny.
Oh, he got
Did you
bankrupt
get-
playing Sticks and Stones.
You get talked.
That was nice.
That was well, Farage in brackets says a very racist term after getting bankrupt on Sticks and Stones, which was a reference to earlier that day. Someone doing exactly the same thing.
Definitely wasn't me. So we have Uma saying, "Quentin, what are you doing down there?" It's another very particular favourite of mine. We got more jokes. In your story, Tony, there was a section where Harry had to pick out who was going to be his best friend, and he immediately ruled out Lawrence, which I thought was quite funny. Lawrence, rather. Yeah, not Lawrence. Not Lawrence. Lawrence. That's true.
I feel bad for Lawrence.
What is this? This isn't English. I've written majority is mine. Does that mean anything?
That
to
is
you?
in my story. I'm pretty
And
sure.
what's the joke?
I don't remember it being a joke because that's
It's part of the Korborg stuff, isn't
yeah.
it?
It's one of like the boss battle lines. Here comes the club. The majority is mine.
Here comes the club.
I've got. Oh god, some of these jokes are so vague. I can't even remember what they were. I've got play my trump card. Is that
I think
does
that's
that mean
also, I
anything?
think that's also in mine. I think.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's Korborg stuff. I think
That's
Mecha
him.
May is talking about Trump.
I think it's Korborg, and he's going to fire up the reactors, and he's like, I'm
Yeah, I think that
playing my
might be
trump
it.
card.
I've written down.
It's a
I
double-
found
double
someone
meaning there.
else, and I'm not sure what that means. So we'll just move on. God. Haven't heard Black Hole Sun, which also doesn't make much sense to me. I think that was a funny. I really should have been more specific about what these jokes were.
Should have timestamps them, Ethan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's because all my notes are so messy. It's hard to read them. I've got he brought Pirates of the Caribbean 3 on his portable DVD player. Another particular favourite
You
of
have
mine.
the best joke of the entire thing.
Is that the
in my
Macbeth
opinion.
one?
The Macbeth one.
Rebecca one was very funny. No, I haven't though. Hatnappy died or something. It was really great as well. Johnny got executed. Question mark. I think that was because of my surprise that you died. Did you die in Tony's story?
Did you?
I
No,
think
no.
we all-
It's well at the end
It was
everyone
all
dies because
implied
it's a
that we
GCSE
died.
drama. But at the
Yeah.
beginning, people
Yeah.
die because I use people's deaths as people's intros to the story. They say they take like a game intro, and I like steal it.
Oh, and I was about to be executed.
Yeah,
'cause I
yeah,
was
you-
Skyrim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
incredible
That makes sense.
insight from analysis
Oh,
that I had
Skyrim, yeah,
to
that makes
describe
sense. That means something
as
to me.
the author of it.
I think. Oh god, there was a funny joke about how there was a 4-year-old anime girl, but everything was really sexualized about her features or something like that. I think
You
you
said
laughed
that.
too.
I mean, no one else would
We
take
got
credit
some
for that
more
joke.
jokes. Your line about a piss-like stream of bullets was really descriptive. Fantastic.
TBH was a bit
honestly,
weird.
one of my personal favourite lines, the Gungan and his big gun, and he pulls out a knife as his weapon, is brilliant.
Goes on
You
for
guessed
so long.
it.
I've got Leo's sex
Knife.
wife down, not sure why.
You mean Leo?
Leo's ex-wife.
Leo's ex-wife, that's
No.
right.
Leo's ex-wife.
Because it was meant to be like a feminist piece, wasn't it? But it ended up as Leo's sex wife
Feminist
for
piece
some
doesn't
reason.
pass the Bechdel test.
Yeah. I've written also down.
I'm trying.
You're mocking all.
Not very
Tony,
hard.
you're mocking all of my scripts. You write down Abraham. You fuck. We need to get the Jack lawyers in.
Jack Law.
Brilliant.
The Armenian gold is the best line.
Armenian gold.
Pretty
And
dumb.
the winner that I put down was Harry for Sonic's Blue Balls because
That's
of the nostalgic.
Oh, yeah.
The nostalgia. Of
Well
it.
That's because I read that
Well
line
done.
aloud
Yeah, I
as
think
I
that's
wrote
probably
it.
the only reason.
I think before I went in, I had a line about like that in mind. But I also had the red becoming blue. The Sonic is born.
Best use of music, I have Short Change Hero, which was in Johnny's story, and in Tony's story, and Roxanne from yours. And the winner of this one was Johnny.
Yeah,
because it really did work perfectly.
It's the same song. It was all about.
I think
it
it
was
the
about
best.
the placement of the song, which is what you got really right.
Have fun.
I have best appraisal of the judge. So you've got Johnny.
I wonder who's going to win this
we
one.
have the Ethan Dick sucking chapter from Tony, and I put down Johnny for this one as well.
I don't even get a mention.
You don't get a mention because it wasn't there. It was just shit on Ethan. That was your chapter.
I thank you for telling me the capital of the Isle of Man, don't I? Like the Isle of Wight.
That's not really.
That doesn't really
I
compare.
mean, a full monologue about how great a guy I was, which I really appreciated.
No, it's not from me. It's all from Lucy.
This next one is best chapter name. I have a jump through time from Johnny's.
Mm-hmm.
I've also got psychology of a sociopath, also from Johnny's story.
I mean, I was inspired by something great for that chapter title. I'm still.
You're still fucking sucking.
Yeah.
Black is in the orange. Another great chapter name. Bang, said by Bang.
Oh, I'm really proud of my actual serious chapter names.
America, fuck yeah.
I like how the stupid ones get picked. Some of them are really fucking clever. I took half an hour coming up with one of them.
Did you have a chapter called Day Zero?
I think
I liked that chapter name just because I had to find a chapter of yours, but all of yours are just 1, 2, 3.
No, chapter Mouldy. No, did I have a chapter?
I've got chapter Mouldy written down here, so that was definitely there.
Yes! That's all I
Chapter
needed.
Mouldy. I've got, Into Nude. Brilliant. That's on there. I think I've got a chapter here called Anime According to Harry. Was that a
that
chapter?
is in mine.
That's great. But, again, the award goes to Johnny for supporting the sociopath.
Yeah.
So quiet.
Like I said, it's almost like he constructed all these awards around the first one he listened
Wait
to.
until we get halfway
This
through
is like
the
the
awards, it starts
45
to
minutes
change
and
a little
stove
bit.
all over again.
Oh, God.
Halfway through the awards, it starts to change a little bit because I've realised how much of these I was giving away to Johnny, and I've got to balance the playing
If
field.
I ever became a porn director, I'd call my film 45 Minutes in Stove.
Calling someone's gran a bastard. Screaming at late night.
You still don't know what we did for those 45 minutes, do you?
Oh, I don't want to know.
I think you're getting a clear picture of it right now.
You're writing Johnny's chapter. All of you.
We have Best Character Development Award from Johnny's story, Drowning an Orphan in a Fountain.
Oh yeah.
That's worst character development.
Okay, worst character development then. We have Becomes a Chef, so Lucy becomes a chef. I thought that was particularly good character development.
Yep. I'll take it.
I think I can't read this word, but I've got something out. Lawrence, not. Let's just move on. I can't read that. That was definitely one for yours, Tony. So I do apologise. Sonic leaves Amy from yours. That was good piece of character development. I mean, this is just a shit award in general, really. But guess who wins this award? Drowning an orphan in a fountain.
Yeah. Now I'm
Next
drowning in
award.
awards for now.
Oh god. The next award goes to Johnny for best food, fish and a lemon. Yet another nomination I had was £1 10 Oreos as well.
Well done.
Yeah. Next award for best physical conflict. The nominations were the restaurant robbery from Johnny's storyline, Bolt versus Sonic.
Yeah, I was going to Sonic on the track.
Another conflict between Britain versus Muslim. We have Harry versus best friend. Not sure what that means. Abraham versus the Jack lawyers. And we have the winner is Harry for Bolt versus Sonic.
Yeah,
a
good
worthy winner.
Fantastic.
A worthy winner.
Yeah, rapid.
Thank you.
Best sandwiches
Well
scene
done.
goes to Johnny because he's the only one who had a sandwiches scene. Every story has a sandwich scene, okay? It's key for character development.
I had a bit I shouldn't talk about sandwiches, mate.
Chicken and pesto, that really brings out the most in people. Tomato and mozzarella, that really shows the emotion that people are going
Stop
through.
dispensing your wisdom like the Buddha, Ethan.
I If I was dispensing my pleasure, I'd give an essay on why Even Flow is one of the best lyrically written songs of all time.
Harry, you said that you're not getting enough awards.
I'm just about tears waiting to blow.
Well done, everybody in that one.
Stay calm.
But he's not being deceived on a daily basis.
Oh, there's Jack Lawyers. Tony, keep going.
Next award goes to Best Sleep-Deprived Spelling. We have Atrocious from Johnny. Image Disturb from Harry's story. I wrote down Sonic Runs from the Police here because I wasn't sure if that was sleep-deprived writing in general.
That was just me being bored about my sentence, so I just put that joke in.
And I got Tony for Politititties, I think. Is that what you said?
I don't remember
Polititics. Anyway, you win the award for that one. I think it was
Politititties.
You just had too many T's and I's in that word.
You were shivering how?
The next award of Best Worst Loophole is Bollocks in a World of Women from Johnny's story. Humans living side by side with hedgehogs from Harry's story.
No,
And,
they weren't hedgehogs. They were just
loophole.
people called hedgehogs.
That's part of the
With
world,
no hair,
Ethan.
yeah.
It's consistent.
Yeah, but why though?
You can't just say, "Oh, dwarves existing in Lord of the Rings." That doesn't make sense. That's a loophole.
Yeah, like David Ayer, you know, bright.
It's part of the world building.
Part of the world.
Yeah, but
Actually, I want to win this award.
yeah, but
Fuck off, no.
he's hang on. Okay, first of all, it doesn't matter because you haven't won the award anyway.
It's Johnny, wasn't it?
Johnny's all over this one, I'm afraid. Best Worst Loophole goes to Bollocks in a World Full of Women.
I think.
Did mine have any
I
loopholes?
think you should have an award called Best Book, and the person who wins Best Book wins.
Because it just be Johnny.
Oh well. Either way.
Best Oppressive Government, we have The Collective from Johnny's storyline, and we have The Conservative Party, both from Tony and Harry's storyline. And Harry wins this one for his Conservative Party.
It's just
He
the normal,
was more
it's the
accurate.
normal Conservative Party.
We have Best Character.
Mechame, you know.
This was, I think, the most difficult one because some of the characters were amazing. You got Lucy from Johnny's story, Sonic from yours, Harry, and Harry Simulator from Tony's. And the award goes to Johnny for Lucy.
Yes.
Best Scientific Principle. From Johnny's story, we have Metal bends when heated. From Harry's story, we have Running so fast causes abrupt storytelling time travel. And Tony, we have Fading into existence, and the award goes to Tony for Fading into existence.
Yes.
Best Epilogue goes to Johnny because he's the only one who had one for Lucy's Regrets and Gimme Shelter Triumphs. Best Origin of the Universe is Harry's Forward and Tony's intro to the light novel challenge, which I give the award to Tony because it was.
Oh, I love how I gave everyone that idea as well.
Also,
Yeah.
did I even intro the universe?
Tea?
What?
No, this is no.
What do you mean? No, his was the best one, so he wins.
Wait, what
the
is
award.
the award called? Is it best intro or best how the universe is made?
I've retconned it to intro.
Tony's intro is like GR because he slammed his hand on
His
the
intro is
keyboard.
great because he mentions how the garden is still there,
Alright.
and it's just a great. It's just a great.
I
intro
can't-
Oh,
to this day.
Harry's chapter is the intro.
My
That's
intro
what
is
it
also
means.
my epilogue. So.
This award means nothing, so I'm just going to cross that one out.
What
straight
is it?
away.
Let's know.
Oh.
It's best work. Yeah, I know you win.
I was gonna win that
I
one.
know,
What was
but we
it?
can't have you winning awards. So
Ethan, come on, you have to
What
say
was
it.
it?
it was a shit. It just doesn't make it. I've got best worst spoon feeding, and I've got Harry's genre defining, which means literally nothing.
You speaking Chinese?
Amy's ring
Means
reminding
nothing.
of marriage. It's just no. It
But
made
best
no
use
sense.
of symbolism.
I was reaching. I
The
think
ring.
for that award. Best
That's me.
least coherent story definitely goes to Tony for this one.
Thank
He has
you.
made the
Which
least amount
one?
of sense. No, just in
Oh,
general. I mean,
I mean,
your whole
I mean,
anthology is
it's-
the least coherent.
The point is, it's many different things. You know, it's not meant to be one.
You know, I realised that. I realised that it was a bunch of different stories, but those individual stories made little sense themselves.
Okay.
So they just
20
amounted to
stories.
I mean-
amounted to one fucking like masterpiece.
This is your own masterpiece.
Best worst foreshadowing. I'm not quite sure what these nominations really mean, but I've got Shawshank quote. I don't know what the Shawshank quote was. I think it might have been tunneling shit and no redemption. But it.
I think I know.
Johnny, it was from yours for sure. Do you remember something about
I put a line about tunneling through shit. Which
Yeah,
is
I think it was Harry's. Yeah.
That was me.
Alright.
Because I'm the only one that would
And
know.
I think that might have been foreshadowing because of something to do with shit later on in the story, or tunneling, or the world goes to shit.
It wasn't. It was literally just like I just wanted to put that line in.
Well then, I was going to give you the award for that one, but because it makes no sense, you can't have it. I'm afraid. Sorry.
All these ridiculous awards that are getting given to me and then taken away.
Tony, you win the award for this one for best words foreshadowing for every constituency has its own trident. I'm not sure why that's foreshadowing or what it foreshadows.
I'm going to take credit for it, like Harry should have.
Yeah. So I think we're about halfway through now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. I made a lot of awards.
You could have just done like best joke and best character.
Yeah, but you need all the in-between stuff as well. You know, the little details that ordinary people
This
would
video's
miss,
too
quiet
short,
back
Harry.
people would miss. So at this point, we get the loss of awards section, which is due to people
Can you
shitting on the judge.
Can you please read out in full the lines which made people lose the awards? So this is just a 10-minute bit of you reading out like criticism of yourself.
Let's pull them up if Ethan doesn't want to.
So Harry,
yeah,
you lost 2 straight off the bat for mentioning the female orgasm. So I've got Harry.
Sorry, women are having orgasms in my stories. Jeez.
So Harry, you win another award. Sorry, you lose another
award.
That was quick. For saying something about
easy come, easy go.
Oh no, it was about sorry. So it was Farage getting bankrupt on 6 Stones after mentioning Nighog. No, he mentions Nighog. No, he mentions Nignog. Sorry, not Nighog. Nignog. After getting bankrupt on 6 Stones.
Why would that be a bad thing?
Why is that about you?
Why is that an extremely offensive word?
Yeah, but it was in the context.
Which you said.
Satire, and you just said it.
And
you compared it to a popular fucking PC game as well.
It's a loss of an award, Harry, because it wasn't necessary. It's like the rape scene in Pulp Fiction. It just wasn't needed. That comment wasn't needed. It's just offensive and racist. It doesn't deserve to be there.
Right. Okay.
Like Psycho
It's not
Killers.
because you said it. Don't give me that wink, Oscar Isaac.
I was giving you the help woman.
The help woman.
Harry, you lose another award for poor French. I think it was just the butchering of the French accent in your story that really set me off a little bit.
The French soldiers there. I mean,
Tony, you lost an award for Garden Still There.
You gave me an award for it and then you took
gave
it
him an
away.
award and took one away for the same line.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to keep even flow in my mind here. You know, you got the positive and the negative. They have to balance out.
I really hope everyone balances out to 0 awards.
Johnny needs to lose some quick.
Yeah.
Harry, you lost an award for saying Ethan never gets the big D. And while it's not really an offensive thing, I just why not?
You like Big D.
At this point here, you'd lost 6 awards, and I was thinking to myself, he's lost 6, why not make it 10? So you just lose another 4 awards for no reason.
Alright, fine.
I'm just joking.
I see the corruption.
You know.
Just because I'm black.
This isn't FIFA 10.
Yeah.
We're not sending you off with a red card for being black.
Oh, you have to run away from you.
Harry, you lost another award for starting sneezing to try and, piss me off.
That was Tony!
No, it wasn't.
You started sneezing at the end of your story, at the end of Tony's story. You just started sneezing. You were like, "Oh, Ethan's back in the room now."
That was Tony.
Obviously.
Tony was blowing his nose. I was like, "He's here now."
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
He was just blowing his nose because he felt like doing it. You're the one who said.
No, he wasn't.
No.
I was in the room.
I heard the sneeze.
You weren't there, man.
It was a genuine sneeze.
Jonathan, break the vote. Be like the vice president in the Senate.
I am a member of the Senate.
Well, this is the problem here, because I basically get to decide whether he tells off Tony or Harry.
This is like
Take
Telltale The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Come on, take it for yourself.
Well, it was all me. I impersonated Harry and Tony blowing in the nose at the same time.
You've got to take one away from Johnny now. I know you
don't want to take votes. I don't want to take awards from him.
Oh wow, you take away from me and Tony. You fucking scum. Just because he paid you. Paid you in a chapter.
Did you tell them?
Shit, they're gonna find out what we did in the 45 minutes.
Wait, what's the unmarked briefcase doing?
So, you lost another. No, Tony loses an award for saying "No Country for Old Men" has no ending, which deeply offended me. And you also lost another award for saying that Halo was better than COD. And,
Both of those things are true, so I just stand by them.
Harry, I'm not gay.
You took one away from me for saying that you never got the big D, and now you're going to take one away from me for saying that you're not gay.
I mean, I was there for those 45 minutes. You know.
Yeah, but
Ethan
surely
can say
you've
what
got
he
to give me
wants.
back the one from the big D line.
Ethan, you have to be consistent.
Can't.
Alright.
It's a fucking oxymoron.
Okay, alright, you get that award.
Thank you.
So, next award is Best Change of Story. So, the Best
Everything
Change of Story.
anthology will win. I wanted the collection of short stories will win the Change of Story award.
Best Change of Story
Please
goes
give
from
it to Tony.
politics to athletics for your story, Harry.
The politics.
The anthology series from Tony's story. And Johnny's got no nominations, but he wins the award for this one. No, Tony does win this one. This is the Tony.
Thank
So
you.
it's very much Tony award.
I'm glad
Very
I win
much
it
very
by
much.
default of like the medium.
Yeah.
It's like giving like a painting. It's like, best use of
the
paper.
biggest change in tone of mind isn't even in politics to athletics. It's fucking like politics to suddenly a random script at the end of the world.
And mine just.
Yours
Just
genre
mine
hops
just goes.
I know.
Jonno, I think you need to calm down a bit. You've got enough awards.
That was a joke. I did have a nomination for you. Ordinary Day goes to
Whatever the fuck
whatever
happened
the
to my
fuck you
novel.
wanted. Yeah, whatever the fuck you wanted.
So
So,
much Japan.
best non-linear storytelling. We have the 100-meter flashbacks for Harry's story.
That was a good one.
Lucy's Looper-esque predicament from Johnny's story. And Korborg Strikes Back from Tony's story.
Thank you.
And this one goes to Harry for its 100-meter flashbacks. I
Thank
think.
you. I do want to say, like, in terms of non-linear storytelling, the book is cyclical for one. At one point, I have a chapter which suddenly jumps.
We'll save Q&A for the end, please.
I
PQA.
have at least 4 instances of non-linear storytelling. I'm fucking Chris Nolan, mate. Jonathan.
Yeah, okay, alright, nice.
I'm the superior brother.
Jonathan, he writes the stories, doesn't he? Yeah.
Is that right?
Alright. Should I save the proper ones like Best Actor and Supporting for the
Yeah,
end?
do the
Yeah.
stupid ones.
Okay,
Do the
alright.
stupid ones. Come on, build up.
Do the stupid ones like
Okay,
best
yeah.
actress.
So,
Know who's not winning that award?
the next...
Mama Corleone. Best actress.
Come on, Jonno should win that award.
The next award is a loss of an award for all of you three for not mentioning the Told You I Was the Mask.
I mentioned it in.
Yeah, but
wait.
you didn't mention it in your
I
story.
don't even know if it
which
was
is
this
what's
podcast or the take we did before when we were secretly being recorded for 10 minutes.
important. I think it might have been that one. So you'll lose an award for that. Right, the best chapter. This was very, very difficult. Tony, I really liked your second chapter. I think your second book was my favourite of all of them. Which is the one after the day in the life of Harry the
Is it
Simulator.
the Mecha May one? Or is it the one that's like the fantasy world
Two
one?
Brothers is the
I think
best
it's the
one.
fantasy world.
I thought that was the third one.
Yeah, that was my favourite from yours.
I'm glad.
Two Brothers.
Well,
is-
looking back,
Two
I
Brothers
really
is my
like your
favourite
first
one,
story with the ordinary day in the life of Harry.
I mean, I like that because I'm fucking massively vain.
Yeah, I like that because of the reference to the ginger
orange.
giant, which made me laugh as well.
I like it because of Saddam.
I was gonna say it as Saddam, but no, I felt like I had to commit.
So,
I'm sorry.
Black is the New Orange was my favourite chapter from your story, Jonathan. And America Fuck Yeah is the winner for this one because it was just too good a chapter to forget. So good.
Best
so
use of
good.
Darwin, best use of Gimp.
Best use of GIMP. Yeah, maybe. I think that might be all of the Mickey Take awards. Just give
And
me
they don't
one
count,
second.
Start from scratch.
Start from
That's no, because like Johnny's obviously.
Actually, no,
because he's got good characters. So.
Yeah, his story is great. We
Hey,
actually
should
do
we,
have.
should we form a coalition?
Yeah.
The Live Downs.
We have a few more Mickey Take jokes. We have best use of war. What is it good for? And Tony wins this one,
Fuck off.
even though it brought it up in the first
Tony
place.
references me using it in mine.
And it's still better than yours.
Mr. Sheep.
Best storyline goes to Harry. I think your storyline was my favourite of all three of them.
It is a good one.
Most funny, Tony, yours made me laugh the most.
Thank you. That's really what I want.
The best written, though, I think, was Johnny's. Yours was by far the most descriptive. You spent the most time perfecting all the lines.
Because he had the shortest word count.
I mean,
Is there a longest word count award?
No, but I should have put that in there. Who was the longest?
Tony's was the longest. Mine was the shortest. But then I stopped the soonest, so that's part of the reason.
Right. Okay.
Too busy watching Psycho 6.
So we're almost on to the awards that really matter. We got a few more awards that don't really mean anything. Best joke I don't understand. There was the Mind Wap one about reading it rather than watching it or something, or listening to it rather than watching it.
Should we explain the jokes you didn't understand?
Yeah, why not?
Should we do that for the entire, all 3 books?
No. Alright, fine. It's just Midwap is my dad wrote a podcast, and Tony does not listen to podcasts. He watches them on YouTube. He sits and just looks at them. Like ours are on YouTube. He just stares at the fucking image and just watches an audio file.
Only is true.
Right, thanks for clearing that up. There was another one.
Harry gauges his pedantry
Sorry,
laser.
I'm trying to find the yes. Shakespeare's egg. I didn't really get that joke either.
It's just a line.
Yeah, it's a line in Macbeth, like I am an egg, and then a kid says I am an egg, and then gets stabbed and goes, "You have killed me, mother."
Okay, and the winner of that one is Tony.
Thank you.
Because both jokes you didn't understand were from his.
Yeah, I mean, just because I understand the joke doesn't mean I can't laugh at it. They were still funny. Mind Wap one, anyway. Most consistent in quality goes to Johnny.
Yeah.
Definitely went from beginning to end,
clear.
trying to be as persistent as he possibly could with
At
quality,
Pre-Oceanus.
He doesn't just give up.
But I
Mine was at
literally
least a
do.
slow
I literally
descent.
That is true. You do skip a lot.
I just there's a whole chapter which they planned something, and then there's just a chapter which says they did that, and then you just continue on.
So, the last award that doesn't really matter is the best use of Kevin Spacey, which goes by default to Tony because
Thank
he's the one we
you.
mentioned him.
Kevin Spacey rolling
Me and
the
Harry
joint.
just didn't want to touch him,
Yeah.
With those allegations.
Yeah, but that's how the last Kevin Spacey award was won, and they couldn't do the same thing 2 years in a row, even though that was 2013.
I love how Ethan doesn't get the best use of Kevin Spacey joke.
The
that
fact
should be
that that's
the
an
joke you
award
understand.
is the joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very.
So, the first proper award is Best Foreign Language Film.
The funny with this is I fucking had my French soldiers. I should appeal to you, Ethan.
Yeah, I know, and you don't even win it. It's Tony who wins it for his Japanese starter pack at the beginning of his
I think that's a bit Savamau, to be honest.
Comes up.
So we have Best Adapted Screenplay goes to Tony because it was the most it was the most consistent with reality, I think, in the jokes that go on.
Tony's making a comeback.
He is making a comeback. He is making a comeback. That's not what you're laughing about. It's making a comeback, and you know it is as well. Stop denying it. Yeah, Best Original Screenplay goes to Harry Cottle for his.
But I really best original screenplay, but not best written.
No.
Okay.
Because are you winning it for the script at the end, Ethan? Or
Sorry?
the whole
Am
thing?
I winning it just for the script, or am I winning it for the?
No, you're winning it for just the entire story.
All right, fine, I'll take that.
What does that mean? I don't even know.
I don't think these awards
Best
mean
writer
anything.
goes to Johnny.
Yeah.
And then we have
Best writer who didn't write either the best adapted or original screenplay.
Yeah, I think we now have the acting. Yes, we have the acting credits. So I'll start off with Best Supporting Actress. So the nominations are Gwyneth Paltrow for the role of Amy Rose,
Why? Amy wrote what? Okay, fine. I won't with that.
Viola Davis for the role of Des Ex Machina, and we have Rouge played by Sigourney Weaver.
That's quite a good casting, actually.
And
I like
the
that.
award goes to Harry for Gwyneth Paltrow as Amy Rose, even though that was my choice. So basically,
I think you're awarding the character Amy Rose,
yeah.
who's nowhere near as good as Des Machina. But I'll
I'm
take it.
sorry, my chapter that was specifically designed to pass the beta test wasn't good enough.
Best Supporting Actor, we have 3 nominations. We have Michael Sheen, who plays Tony Blair from Harry's Story. We have
showing up.
We have John the Hedgehog, played by Sam Rockwell.
That's quite good. That's really good
Story.
casting.
And we have Hatton Appley, played by Matthew Rapley in Tony's Story.
That's
The
good
award,
I wouldn't see that one coming.
the award goes to Harry for Sam Rockwell as
I like
John the
it.
Hedgehog.
You just like your casting.
Yeah,
That's why you're giving me.
Best actress goes to Emma Stone for Lucy by default.
Yeah.
Best actor goes to right. We have two here. So I didn't want to give it by default to you for post Pulp Fiction Samuel Jackson for Sonic the Hedgehog. So instead, I introduced who would play the male version of Lucy in your story, which was, I thought, Benicio del Toro. So those are the two nominations.
Don't fucking give it to Benicio.
No, the award does go to post Pulp Fiction Samuel Jackson Sonic.
So,
I just
Lucy
misjudged-
managed to win it
I
for me
just misgendered
twice.
your character.
Harry should have won.
Yeah.
Should have been nominated.
And I think that brings us on to the best story, which I gave it to you, Harry. I think yours was one that I enjoyed
That's
the
all I
most
care about.
by the end. Now, I've decided not to include the loss of awards because
Oh,
I don't know who
Jesus.
gives a shit, right?
Now I actually have a chance.
And
Oh, I don't want to win this because I
So-
want to write one.
so should I go from the person who lost, and then to the person who won?
What does the loser have to do again?
I'm not too.
Have another 45 minutes.
If you lose, Ethan gets to access your body during combat for a whole year.
The person who wins has to play Silver's storyline in Sonic 06.
I
That
don't
has to be a
want to
punishment.
win. Bring back the taking away of awards, Ethan.
So, the person who came third was Harry with
Yes.
12 awards.
That means I get to write my one
It's all
next
quite
year.
close actually. You didn't lose by like a mile. You were very, very close to.
Wait, so how many are 112? And like,
you won 12 awards.
how many did I get taken? If we kept the taken away rule, how many would I?
You lost like 10,
About
didn't
s-
you?
Yeah, you lost about 7, I think.
6. You said 6, and you're like, oh, take away 10.
Yeah.
So I would have won 2.
Right. Should we get a drum roll for who came
I
second?
wonder who's going to
I think I'm glad with my performance overall. I'm glad I got most funniest. That's what I was going for.
Yeah. Right. Should we? Okay. No drum roll. So second was Tony with 13 awards.
Well
just one
done.
more than you.
Well done.
And that
Saw it
means
coming.
that Johnny with 15 awards
Yes.
ahead, which is it's only 2 more than Tony. So I mean, by the scheme of things, it wasn't actually that many. Yes,
Well done,
does deserve a
Johnny.
round of
Well
applause.
done, Johnny.
Well done.
So while we're here now, should we establish next year as well?
Can I,
When are we
can I
going-
just can I just have an acceptance, speech?
No.
Alright,
Oh,
yeah,
shut
come
up.
on,
friends,
go
go
up.
out.
Now let's go
No,
up to there. Let's hear him make 2 words sound like 3 words.
Yeah, no, I'm mainly just glad after writing that, I had the worst migraine I've ever had. It was like out for a whole day, and then most of the next week I just wasn't able to think.
Oh my god, yeah.
So I'm glad my sacrifice was worth it.
Slightly
All of that.
good.
I'd like to thank like fucking God or whatever the rest of them say, and my family and whatever. I'm glad. Blah 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 blah. I drag it on for a bit too long, and then someone ushers me off stage.
Music starts playing.
And now it turns out Moonlight won it. Shit. Okay. Yes.
Oh, Ethan should be full of fucking moonlight. Right. And by that I mean get gay. On a beach. Right, next.
Should I perform a?
I wonder what
Should I
happens
do a Billy D
45
Million
minutes into this
called
podcast.
Black? And then
That's such a
Is it a gay sex scene?
yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, this hasn't been
I'll
recorded.
I'll become a gay black child exploring my sexuality.
And on that note.
Hang on one
Alright.
second before we quit. You said
Yeah.
establishing next
Yeah.
year.
So what's happening?
So definitely 12 hours rather than 24 because 24 hours just wrecks you
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
I got
It
sleep
got a bit
and you
weird.
3 were dead.
Yeah,
by the
12,
end of it.
and then we can all pick like 3-hour playlists, which is easier to do.
Yeah, it is.
And we can do it on Spotify this time, so we don't have the annoying fucking like me accidentally closing the music out.
No, but we don't have the YouTube ads. Told you I was the master.
Alright, Jonathan, do you want to compete or do you want to just judge?
I just want to judge. I think because
Oh man, neutral man.
if doing this causes me to have migraines, I'm gonna want to do this as
Right.
least as possible.
I've already been thinking about my.
Yes,
Mine-
initial ideas.
Mine's not. I'm not going to tell you any of my initial ideas, but mine's not going to be just a book. Like one's going to be like a book. One's going to be a script, which I'm going to give you guys lines to do, and one's going to be a decide your own
Choose your
destiny
own
thing.
adventure.
Yeah.
Oh, you Francis Ford Coppola. You're breaking the limits here, Jesus.
Now I'm going to do 3 short stories. I've
You
decided.
gave best screenplay to a book.
I've planned what they are. I'm not going to tell you what they are. Let's just say We've got some very exciting things to come.
Alright, I want to say that the light novel that I write next year will be based on the events following a very catastrophic knee day that I had recently.
Oh, yes.
In which I had very, very strange, bizarre nightmares that I can't fully remember, but they involve Patrick Bateman talking about why he loves Fallout Boy so much. Instead of you,
do you think we can write these now?
I actually really want to, while they're fresh in my mind still.
Should we write these now and then spend 6 months trying to record them until we actually edit them on the fucking last day that they go up?
Yeah, I think it will be again for next year.
Tony, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Well, I don't really know.
You're going to do another anthology and change it up?
I think I'll probably do anthologies because I have a very short attention span. Yeah, ever since then I've just been like, there's so many more memes I could have put into it.
I was thinking that 5 seconds ago. I was going in my head, God, by next year we're gonna have so many new memes and just stupid jokes.
You know when like a film is made to like fucking comment on something that's happening in society, and the film takes 2 years to make and it's just well out of date.
Yeah.
That's basically what these books were. Like we wrote them from memes that like 6 months later we just got totally new ones.
Yeah. Although it is nice to go back on some of the memes that really did make us,
memes you're not allowed to say anymore, like the M word or the M word.
Ultimate meme names. And add Lily to it. Right. How long have we been going
be in
for?
the next podcast.
We've been going for
3 hours
minutes.
and add 42.
I like that I have the comfort of the fact that I'm 4 hours into a really obscure
Guys,
YouTube video
can
that gets like no views. I could say anything.
Can
I could talk about North Korea.
we film for 20 minutes and this is exactly 4 hours long?
We can play D&D for like 20 minutes.
Have you done any D&D work so that we're actually doing?
Okay, now we're just having conversations. Let's go. Thank you. Goodbye.
No, we should play.
That's staying in.